Chapter 901. She had a pair of red eyes, a horrifying smile, and that little tongue that was licking the corner of her mouth, as if she was very hungry. As if she really wanted to eat me up. Where did this little girl come from, to dare to be arrogant in front of me? Prairie Fire Warhorse. Let me roar once. I will let you all feel what is called the might of a primordial divine beast. Roar, roar. Prairie Fire Warhorse also let out a terrifying roar. The dragon and the terrifying giant crocodile seemed to have gotten a shock. Are you fucking sick? Why did you roar without even greeting me? After roaring, Prairie Fire Warhorse felt very satisfied. Afterward, it looked towards Yi Zizi, as if it was saying, if you look at me again, I will drink you up. Yi Zizi could be seen sticking out her little tongue, then quickly changed into her original form. This kind of change was very fast. Even Supremes were not able to see it, only Prairie Fire Warhorse was able to see it. Speaking of which, what is Yi Zizi's original form? I don't think I have seen it before. In the past, when I fought with Yi Hua, I didn't even reveal my original form. Yi Hua also seemed to not want Yi Zizi to reveal her original form, as if Yi Zizi revealing her original form was very troublesome. From this, it could be seen how abnormal Yi Zizi's original form was. Prairie Fire Warhorse that saw Yi Zizi was a bit stupefied. What did I see just now? Is that a ghost? How is this possible? My Prairie Fire Warhorse is actually scared. Just what is that thing? It carries a bloody smell. It wants to eat me up. Prairie Fire Warhorse could be seen gradually retreating, and its gaze was a bit fearful. Pai Liangjun felt the warhorse's intention and was very confused. Why did it get scared? Wasn't it very ferocious just now, roaring crazily? The dragon and the terrifying giant crocodile looked towards Prairie Fire Warhorse and were also confused, as if they were asking, is there a hole in your brain? Why are you retreating? Did you see a ghost? If Prairie Fire Warhorse could speak, it would definitely shout out, I saw a ghost just now, and it was a big red ghost. Pai Liangjun hurriedly comforted Prairie Fire Warhorse, but no matter how he comforted it, Prairie Fire Warhorse was still very scared. In Kong Feiqing and Bao Si's eyes, Prairie Fire Warhorse was scared silly by its own mount. Of House Pai, your warhorse seems to be a bit scared. Kong Feiqing gently stroked his dragon whiskers and smiled. Look at my divine dragon. Does the gaze of a king make you very afraid? Are you trembling? Bao Si stood on the crocodile's head and laughed. House Leader Pai, did you forget to feed it? At this moment, Pai Liangjun felt like he had lost all face. His prairie blazing warhorse was fine just now. Why did it suddenly become like this? Pai Liangjun pressed his hands on the two horses' heads, and his palms emitted a faint glow. Only then did the Prairie Fire Warhorse calm down a bit, and it wasn't that afraid anymore. However, the two pairs of eyes still didn't dare to look at those 5 women. Seeing that the Prairie Flame Warhorse had actually stabilized, Bao Si and Kong Feiqing were slightly disappointed because they did not see Pai Liangjun make a fool of himself. But that was about it. Looks like we're in trouble today, Bao Si said, looking at his son and the other 5. It is indeed a little troublesome. Kong Feiqing also looked at his 2 sons. Why did they come here for no reason? What a troublesome fellow. If there's really no other way, ask them to leave first. Pai Liangjun rode over slowly on his Prairie Fire Warhorse. Bao Si said in a low voice, if we tell them to leave now, they'll think we're doing something here. Ask them to hurry up and finish the fight, then scram. That's the only way. Kong Feiqing said in a low voice, and his gaze looked towards the lava, seemingly carrying some sort of excitement. The 6 young masters who were standing not far away from the lava all felt a bit unnatural. Just what is the reason for all of our fathers to come here? I have no idea at all, and all of them came out on their mounts. Just what is the reason for all of us to come here? Are they here to stop us? But looking at their actions, it doesn't seem like it. Right at this moment, Bao Si shouted out, Bao Pa, since you all have decided to have a proper fight, then hurry up. What are you all standing there for? Bao Si thought that his father was going to stop them, and didn't expect that it would be like this. Father. Qing Yutong pouted her mouth. Seems like he isn't simple. That's right. There's something even more delicious. Yi Zizi pursed her small lips. True, there's a good show to watch, Kai Yun clapped his hands and said, giving off a feeling as if he didn't know anything, the naive and romantic type. Brett let out a light sigh. I really want this farce to end quickly so that I can bring Ju Tian back and have fun. Every time I bring Ju Tian to take a bath, Ju Tian would reveal a look of despair. This is simply too interesting. I didn't expect that Ju Tian would have such a cute side to him. Yu Hua is still fine, Lai Gu is at home, and there are still the other three looking after her. Nothing will happen. In the arena, the winner of the first match had already been decided. That was Bao Pa versus Pai Pai. When the winner of the match was decided, the entire arena cheered. At this moment, Bao Ci smiled and said, "Clan Head Pai, I wonder if your third brother will be able to fight against my son." Bao Ci clearly had the intention of teasing Bao Pa. Bao Po's strength had reached rank 8 Do Zun, while the other 5 were only rank 2 or 3. Their strength was still considered close, but compared to Bao Pa, they were still lacking. Furthermore, Pai Pai was only a rank 2 Do Zun. How could he be a match for a rank 8 Do Zun? Chapter 902. Yu Hua and Brett nodded their heads. They are indeed very bad. They are even worse than their son. Humph, Yi Yezi snorted. She decided to teach them a lesson later. Who do you guys think will win? Let's start the match, Qing Yutong laughed lightly. It should be that Bao Pa. His strength seems to be slightly stronger. Yu Hua said softly. The difference was right there, so it was easy to tell. Yu Hua's words obtained the agreement of the 5 women. If the difference in strength was close, then it would be hard to tell. But the distance between the two of them was a bit far, so it was not hard to tell. Even Pai Pai knew this, the difference between him and Bao Pa was right there. But no matter what, he still had to try his best. After all, there were so many people watching. It was fine to lose face in front of his brothers, but he definitely could not lose face in front of his father. After all, if he lost face today, he would become the joke of the entire Water City. Even if he lost face today, he had to lose with honor. Pai Pai, you are not my opponent. If you surrender, you will be spared from the pain of your flesh. Bao Pa did not even take out his weapon. It could be seen how much he looked down on Pai Pai. In Bao Po's heart, he did not need to use his weapon to win against Pai Pai. It was the same even if he was against the other 4. If the 5 of them came together, he would have to use his weapon. But right now there was really no need for that. Pai Pai took out his sword. It was that sword that was smeared with poison. To be able to poison Yang Haotian, that kind of Jizun, it could be seen how vicious the poison on the sword was. This poison was refined from the most poisonous creature in the underwater world. It was very precious. So if Pai Pai wanted to win now, he had to use his sword to stab. Even if it was just for a moment. Bao Pa was very strong. This poison might not be able to make him stay in a stalemate for a long time, but even if it was just for a few seconds, he still had a chance to win. This was Pai Pai's strategy. Use your weapon. Pai Pai shouted in a low voice. Bao Pa smiled slightly and said, I don't need a weapon to deal with you. Such hurtful words, but Bao Pa still said it. This made Pai Pai very angry. As long as you let my sword touch you, I will make you pay the price. Bao Yu, who was sitting on the audience seat, asked softly, Husband, do you think Big Brother will win? Of course, Big Brother is a rank 8 Do Zun. Dealing with a rank 2 Do Zun is just a matter of waving his hand. Qi Shu Win also thought this way. There was no suspense unless Pai Pai had purposely suppressed his strength and chose to erupt at this moment. If he was only a rank 2 Do Zun, he would definitely lose today. Yes, I think so too. Her brother was so strong, and her father was also so strong. When her husband grew up, he would also be very strong. She was truly blessed. As the fight between the two began, the excited audience stood up and shouted. The blue veins on their necks looked as if they were about to burst. It was a shocking sight. Bao Pa, since you underestimated me, I will make you pay the price. Pai Pai angrily shouted as he brandished the sword in his hand in a strange and unpredictable manner. Bao Pa said indifferently, To be honest, I don't think that's necessary. At the very least, I should give you some leeway. Watch my sword. Leather suddenly stabbed out with his sword, and the entire deep sea arena was illuminated by the sword light. With one look, one could tell that this sword was not an ordinary item. Not bad, you've improved, but you're still too far away. Bao Po's voice came from behind Pai Pai. Pai Pai's expression darkened as he instantly felt a loud sound coming from his back. His body immediately flew out and smashed into a stone pillar beside him. Boom, boom, boom. The huge stone pillar suddenly collapsed and fell into the magma, instantly disappearing without a trace. The audience was silent. These two had just started fighting, and Pai Pai was already at a disadvantage. He was even sent flying with a kick. It felt good to ruin the scene. It felt good in any way. Of course, it was by shouting loudly. The entire deep-sea arena was filled with loud cheers. Even Kai Yun shouted excitedly. This kind of fight was suitable for him. He really wanted to go up and play with them. Kai Yun was referring to the three old men in the air and not anyone else. House Leader Pai, looks like it's still not enough. Please forgive me. Bao Ci began to show off. His son was really proud. Pai Liangjun said in a deep voice, "Humph. The difference in strength is right there. What's there to be happy about? Strength is also obtained through cultivation. My pair is extremely hard-working. As for those two sons of yours, if they cultivated like my how could they be so weak right now?" Bao Ci boasted once more. His sons were just tools for him to brag about his own abilities. Humph. Pai Liangjun snorted and didn't say anything. How could he not know what his two sons were like? So embarrassing. Kong Fei Chung didn't say anything because if he did, the result would be the same. His two sons weren't his match either. In the arena, Pai Pai steadied himself and stared at Bao Pa. Bao Pa stood with his hands behind his back and looked mysterious. Pai Pai, admit defeat. This is the best result for you. Don't even think about it. Pai Pai shouted angrily. It was absolutely impossible for him to admit defeat. Heaven Sealing Ghost Chart. Black Coffin. Pai Pai formed a seal with both hands and a huge amount of battle energy spread out from his body. Bao Pa smiled as he looked at Pai Pai. However, at this moment, a black shadow appeared around Bao Pa and sealed him. With the speed of Pai Pai's hand seals, the black shadow quickly formed and sealed Bao Pa in an instant. A huge coffin floated in the air, forming a strange scene. Your son is not bad. He even learned the black coffin. Bao Ci was a little surprised. This black coffin could only be controlled by a 5th grade Dozun. Otherwise, it wouldn't even be formed. Nonsense. Do you think my son is playing around? Pai Liangjun said with disdain. Actually, he was also surprised. When did his third brother learn this move? It was very illogical. The 4 people watching from the side felt the same. Third brother, not bad. You even managed to create a black coffin. You hit it very well. Pai Guanghui said softly, his eyes filled with surprise. Third brother is very shrewd. It's not like you don't know. Pai Chung said indifferently. The 2 Kong brothers didn't say anything. If they were the ones on the arena, they would probably lose. When did this Pai Pai refine a black coffin? It was too much to criticize. Qi Shuwen looked at the black coffin with curiosity. He had long heard that Watertown's Heaven Sealing Ghost Chart was powerful. Seeing it today, it was indeed worthy of its reputation. When the time comes, he could also learn this Heaven Sealing Ghost Chart. After all, this chart was only provided to the 3 great clans. This was also one of the reasons why he wanted to become a son-in-law. The Heaven Sealing Ghost Chart was really fascinating. Suddenly, a clear sound rang out. A finger appeared on the black coffin and pierced through it. Chapter 903. This clear and crisp sound seemed to stab into everyone's heart. Everyone knew very well what this black coffin represented. But now, it had been pierced by a finger. How was this possible? Pai Pai, I really didn't expect that you even managed to successfully cultivate the black coffin, and you even used the strength of a 2nd rank. What a pity. This black coffin can only unleash 20% of its strength. You are just drawing a calabash, that's all. After Bao Po's words stopped, Bao Pa could be seen using one of his hands to slap the black coffin, and the black coffin turned into black stars and disappeared. Pai Pai's heart sank. He did not expect that it would still not work. He had forcibly released the black coffin, but it had not reached that level of power. Just as Bao Pa had said, it was just a drawing of a gourd. But even if it was just a drawing, Bao Pa was actually quite surprised. Do you think you can draw this black coffin just like that? If you don't have the least bit of talent, how can you do such a thing? Leather's potential was much greater than that of his 2 brothers. At this moment, Bao Ci smiled and said, What a pity, this black coffin still can't hurt my pair. Hee hee, Can your lousy son release the black coffin at the second grade? Pai Liangjun emphasized the word lousy. Just like your lousy son. Son. At this time, Kong Feiqing said something fair. Actually, Pai being able to unleash a move like black coffin at the second level already means that he has a lot of potential. House leader Pai, please take good care of him. He'll become someone great in the future. Pai Liangjun also smiled and said, the two young masters of Clan Head Kong are not bad either. Humph. Bao Ci snorted. Not bad my ass. The 5 women also felt sorry for Pippi. In fact, they felt that Pippi was a good person. At least he helped them. Although he couldn't resist the temptation in the end and did something bad, he was instigated by someone else. Therefore, the 5 women still hoped that Leather could win. After all, it was meaningless to stand up in a one-sided battle. But from the looks of it, this Bao Pa was even more powerful. If Pai didn't have a trump card, he would be in danger. At this moment, Bao Pa said lightly, Pai, just admit defeat. There won't be any results if you keep fighting like this. Bull*T. Stubborn fool. Then let me show you what a real black coffin is. After saying that, Bao Pa quickly formed a black void around Pai. His speed was even faster than Pai's. Heavenly Ceiling Ghost Chart. Black Coffin. Bao Pa angrily shouted, completing the final hand seal. Looking at Bao Pa's black coffin, it gave off a thick deathly aura. Whether it was color or luster, it was definitely more amazing than the black coffin from before. Even their size had to be bigger. Hurry up and tell your son to admit defeat. Otherwise, he's going to die. Kong Feiqing hurriedly said. This black coffin was not a joke. If it was sealed for too long, it would cause death. Pai Liangjun clenched his fists tightly. Asking his son to admit defeat? Wouldn't that be asking the entire House Pai to surrender? Bao Ci smiled but did not say anything. Beg me then. If you beg me, I will release your son. Looking at the lifeless black coffin, Pai Liangjun's face darkened. Third bro. Fight for your father's honor. The entire scene quieted down. Everyone stared at the floating coffin, wondering if House Pai's third brother would be able to escape. If he broke free, it would be a slap to his face. If he couldn't break free, then House Pai would lose face today. Although Pai Cheng and Pai Guanghui were separated from their third brother, at this moment, they still revealed a worried expression. After all, they were brothers. It was fine if they quarreled internally, but when they were outside, they had to be united against external enemies. Third bro. Do your best. The 2 brothers shouted in their hearts. Qing Yutong was also anxious. Didn't you know how to use your brain? You even kneeled down to Yang Haotian before. Now you should also kneel down and listen to your father. As time passed, everyone sighed. This Pai would rather die than surrender. As expected, he is a man. Of course, Bao Pa did not want to kill Pai. After all, it was not good. But just now, his father told him not to break free, so he could only wait. Bao Ci silently waited for Pai Liangjun to come and beg for mercy. Pai Liangjun was already running out of patience. The more time passed, the more dangerous his third brother would be. I can't wait any longer. Pai Liangjun looked towards Bao Ci. Bao Ci did not even look at him and pretended to look at the scene. However, Pai Liangjun's hands began to slowly raise, as if he wanted to cup his hands. But when his hands were raised in mid-air, a voice rang out. This caused Pai Liangjun's heart to sink. This also caused Bao Ci to be shocked. How is this possible? Heavenly Ceiling Ghost Chart. Anata. A strange voice rang out from within the black coffin. This caused everyone's expression to change. Even the 3 old men were the same, and in their minds, the word lunatic appeared. Even if you beat Bao Pa to death, this Pai actually dared to use an Ata. This is something that only a 9th rank Do Zun can release. This fellow has surpassed his rank again. Does he not know the price of using an Ata? Could it be that you have a grudge against me for killing your father? Or is it because you stole my wife? You must be sick. Pai Cheng and Pai Guanghui had stupefied expressions on their faces. Third brother's performance today simply caused everyone to be dumbstruck, unimaginable. Looking at the Kong brothers at the side, they were the same as well. Do you really have a grudge against Bao Pa for you to actually use an Ata? My God, you are truly crazy. This move seems to be very powerful. Kai Yun suddenly laughed and said. He could feel that the aura within the black coffin was gradually rising, and it was very powerful. Yi Zizi also withdrew her smile and said in a low voice, Indeed, this whatever Anata is very powerful. Brett's gaze gradually sunk. This kind of skill is very powerful, and it can even be compared with my own. This water city is really a pleasant surprise. Prehistoric divine beast, prehistoric ferocious beast, Tian class skill, it is still quite powerful. We have to re-evaluate the strength of this water city. Qing Yutong said in a deep voice. If even a Pai could use an Ata, then what kind of situation would it be like for 3 Jizun to use an Ata? Furthermore, under the situation of using an Ata, would it still be possible to superimpose other skills? At this moment, Qi Shuwen asked curiously, Sharky, does this an Ata have any side effects? Abeo Yu nodded his head. Heavenly Ceiling Ghost Chart, an Ata. It requires a 9th rank Do Zun to activate. Once this skill is activated, one's strength will rise exponentially. I have never seen it that strong. This is the first time I have seen someone use an Ata, and the side effect is to drop 1 rank. Now, Pai is a 2nd rank Do Zun. After using it, he will be a 1st rank Do Zun. Speaking until this point, Abeo Yu sighed softly. This Pai is really stupid. He wants to save face and suffer. It is obvious that he cannot defeat my brother, yet he insists on using an Ata to fight my brother. Qi Shuwen knocked Abeo Yu's pink forehead. Are you stupid? He also wants to force your brother to use an Ata, intending to injure both sides. Chapter 904. Qi Shuwen smiled. What was there to be shameless about? What he did just now was shameless. This was a fight, after all. It was a competition of a man's dignity. It could only be said that House Pai's 3rd son wanted his face a lot, but he was suffering. Winning would bring glory to his face, but his strength would drop by 1 level. Was it really worth it? Maybe to Qi Shuwen, it wasn't worth it, but to Pai, this represented the housemaster's dignity, and also his own glory. Even if he had to sacrifice his life, he wouldn't hesitate. If a person didn't have faith, he would be no different from a salted fish. This was the first time Pai used an Ata in the black coffin. He felt like his entire body was filled with strength. As his strength increased, Pai felt like he could even smash the sky. This was a feeling he had never felt before. It was like he had control over everything. As for how strong he was, Pai didn't feel it anymore. He just felt like he could kill this trash Bao Pa now. Suddenly, Pai raised the sword in his hand, raised it up high, and then slashed down. A crescent-shaped black light emitted from the sword. The black coffin couldn't withstand it at all and instantly disintegrated. Seeing such a scene, everyone was dumbfounded. The leather in the black coffin had actually directly cut open the black coffin. What kind of strength did he need? Bao Pa was shocked as well. Especially that terrifying black sword energy. It was filled with a strange aura. At this moment, Bao Pa had no choice but to take out his weapon. It was also a long sword. When the long sword flashed, a majestic aura suddenly swept out. The body of the sword was emitting specks of starlight. It looked very ordinary, but when it first appeared, it was obvious. This was a prehistoric godly weapon. 7 ministers. Although it was a prehistoric godly weapon, it was still divided into different grades. After all, not every prehistoric godly weapon that was created was godly. According to this standard, the sword in Bao Po's hand was a 3rd-grade prehistoric godly weapon. But even the worst prehistoric godly weapon was still a godly weapon that people would fight over. After all, it was too rare. When the 7 ministers appeared, Qing Yutong and the others were slightly dazed. I didn't expect that there would even be a prehistoric godly weapon, Brett said indifferently. But he didn't put it in his eyes at all because it was trash. Qing Yutong smiled. It is indeed a bit surprising. The guards standing around had a puzzled look on their faces. Were these 5 women crazy? It seemed that she had already hinted at her own outcome. It was a pity that such a beautiful woman had turned into a lunatic. Pai Liangjun lost his composure and said in a deep voice, You even gave me the great desolate era's divine weapon, break. Son. So what? If I didn't give my son to you, who would? Bao Ci said calmly. Are you guys stupid? Do you dare to give your son a primordial divine weapon? You can't bear to part with it, can you? At this moment, Kong Feiqing spoke in a faint voice. Even with a Chaos Divine weapon, it is unlikely that your broken son can win. This leather likely possesses the strength of a peak Do Zun. Bao Ci snorted lightly. So what? This isn't his true strength. He will still suffer from the backlash. The gains do not make up for the losses. As for my peer, with the help of the ancient divine weapon, he can still win. Hehe. Pai Liangjun chuckled. Duh. Pai Liangjun took a deep breath as he stared at all three. Now that he had used Selfless, there was no turning back. Fight hard for House Pai. Qi Shuwen also looked at the 7 ministers with envy. This Chaos Divine weapon really made people envious. It wasn't just Qi Shuwen who envied it, everyone was envious. This was a Chaos Divine weapon. Holding it in one's hand was a symbol of strength. It was said that a powerless person could kill a Do Wang with a Chaos Divine weapon. Yu, do you also have a Chaos Divine weapon? Qi Shuwen asked curiously. If his son had one, then his most beloved daughter should have one too. Yu didn't hide it and said softly, I do, but I have no use for it. I'll give it to you, okay? Qi Shuwen was overjoyed. He almost said yes, but he quickly stopped. How can that be? This is your thing. You have to take good care of it. Qi Shuwen said in a deep voice as if he didn't want it. Husband, we are husband and wife. Isn't my thing yours? I don't need it anyway. It's better for you to use it. Yu said happily. Qi Shuwen said sternly, am I that kind of person? Don't say such things again. Otherwise, I will get angry. Although he said that, he was thinking in his heart, if you say a few more words, I will reluctantly agree. Hurry up, Modo. Okay then, husband, you have to work hard in the future. Qi Shuwen was speechless. Qi Shuwen wanted to slap himself. Who asked you to act cool? Now, he didn't want a Chaos Divine weapon that was delivered to his door. He was such an idiot. Of course I have to rely on my own strength. Qi Shuwen clenched his fists and said. He was a man who worked hard. Looking at Qi Shuwen's hard work, Yu was very happy. His fighting spirit was not bad. So she shyly kissed him and immediately hid in Qi Shuwen's chest, not daring to look at him. Qi Shuwen wanted to die. He could have gotten a Chaos Divine weapon, but he got a kiss in exchange. What a loss. Bao Pa, who took out the Chaos Divine weapon, had his confidence greatly boosted. Looking at the crescent of black light that was coming towards him, Bao Pa immediately slashed out with his sword. As expected of a Chaos Divine weapon, the crescent of black light disappeared without a trace, as if the crescent of black light had never appeared in the first place. Bao Pa had a smile of disdain on his face, seemingly feeling that Pai was still unable to withstand a single blow. Following the dissipation of the black coffin, Pai's figure finally appeared. Everyone was shocked by Pai's outfit. Leather silver armor had turned black. Even the blade of the sword had turned black. However, on top of the black armor, there seemed to be some kind of black flame burning, causing everyone to shiver. Looking at Pai's appearance, Bao Po's mind was filled with question marks. Is this the appearance of an Ata? Kai Yun cried out in surprise. So handsome. Indeed very handsome. Even Yu Hua nodded her head. This proved that Pai was indeed very handsome. This was the truth. Pai was just like a dark character, filled with mystery and killing intent. Especially the black flame that was emitting from his body, it added a kind of oppressive atmosphere. An Ata looks like this? Even Kong Feiqing was puzzled. Pai Liangjun didn't know either. In actuality, Bao Pa didn't know either. After all, who would use an Ata for fun? Unless it was when one's life was in danger, and the peace in Water City had already lasted for a very long time. Therefore, no one would use an Ata. Being able to break open my black coffin, and even being able to force me to take out my 7 ministers, you can already be considered to have one. Bao politely waved the 7 ministers in his hand, and a terrifying aura rippled out. Chapter 905. Leather looked at Bao Pa and said faintly, I don't know who was the one who said that he wouldn't use a weapon, but right now, he actually used a weapon, hee. Bao Po's face stiffened as if he had been slapped in the face. That's also my fault. I forced you to use nothing, so I had no choice but to use my weapon. The meaning of Bao Po's words was very clear. You were forced by me, so you are a defeated opponent. Moreover, you use cheating methods to increase your strength. Moreover, even if you use selfless, you still won't be a match for me. It's just a matter of a light slash. Bao Pa continued. He even waved the 7 ministers in his hand, releasing bits of starlight. Pippi chuckled and said, You seem to have misunderstood something. It was just a light strike. Just as he finished speaking, Pai Pai's body seemed to have been frozen in place, not moving an inch. Bao Pa was startled, and a sense of danger appeared behind him. With a backhand slash. Puff! The tips of the 2 swords came into contact with each other, instantly stirring up a terrifying wave of air. Pai Pai was now very clear of his advantage. He circulated his Do Chi with all his might and a wave of black Do Chi erupted from his body. Bao Pa also knew his opponent's intention. A battle of battle Chi. Ha! Bao Pa furiously shouted and white Do Chi spread out from his body. A black and a white Do Chi immediately formed, creating a huge whirlpool. That terrifying atmosphere infected everyone. It was so terrifying. Leather relied on his improved strength. As for Bao Pa, he relied on the primordial divine artifact in his hand. The 2 of them were actually equally matched. From this, one could see the importance of possessing a great desolate era divine weapon. Pai Pai, I told you, you are not my opponent. Bao Pa still had the time to say that, indicating that his foundation was really strong. Bao Pa, don't underestimate me. Pai Pai angrily shouted, the black light on his body flourished. The majestic aura became even more abnormal. There was still a difference between the peak of the Do Zun class and a grade 8 Do Zun. Moreover, the difference was not just a little big. After all, at this level, every grade was like a ravine. If not for the primordial divine weapon, Bao Pa would have been defeated long ago. The blackened skin was not to be underestimated. Beads of sweat appeared on Bao Pa's forehead. This Anata was actually so abnormal. This leather was probably half a step into the ranks of supreme beings. They were commonly known as pseudo-supremes. The black Do Chi was getting stronger and stronger, while the white Do Chi was getting smaller and smaller. It was not as dazzling as it was at the beginning. Faced with such a situation, the audience was also dumbfounded. He didn't think that House Pai's 3rd brother would be able to beat Bao Pa. Although he used a martial art, it was still very strong. It was rare to see someone stronger than him. That's rubbish. My son can't take it anymore. Pai Liangjun was very happy now. He could finally give this old fart a blow. Bao Si's chest heaved up and down. It seemed like he was in a bad mood. He had underestimated the power of an Ata. Kong Feiqing said lightly, Now if your son wants to win, I'm afraid he can only use an Ata. Bao Si was speechless. If Peir's prehistoric artifact was a bit better, even if it was just a bit better, he would have definitely won this time. However, the grade of this prehistoric artifact was a bit inferior, and that leather weapon of Peir's wasn't bad either. Adding on the fact that Peir's strength was doubled, Peir was actually able to restrain Peir. Therefore, what Kong Feiqing said wasn't unreasonable. If Peir didn't use an Ata, he would probably lose. The look in Bao Po's eyes became more and more horrified. The strength of the opponent was still growing, as if it could never be stopped. Was this the power of an Ata? It is very powerful. Bao Pa. It is still not too late for you to admit defeat now, so that you don't have to suffer. Pai Pa used the same words to counterattack Bao Pa. Don't think that just because you are powerful that no one can defeat you. I, Pai Pa, am one of them. Bao Po's entire body felt unwell. Perhaps it was because he was angered by Pai Po's words. His aura immediately became chaotic. Sensing that Bao Pa was becoming unstable, Pai Pa shouted out furiously, and his strength grew once again. The black Duki instantly swallowed the white Duki. A huge wave was set off in the surroundings, and that terrifying pressure caused everyone to feel like vomiting. That rubbish of yours lost. Seeing this scene, Pai Liangjun laughed loudly and said, What rubbish? Son, count yourself as a hammer. Bao Si said faintly, It is still too early to say right now. Right now, Bao Pa was in a bit of a sorry state. He was gasping for breath while holding on to Qiqing. Meanwhile, Pai Pa held onto his sword and slowly walked towards Bao Pa. Pai Pa seemed to be asking, Where is your aura? Didn't you want to defeat me? Didn't you want to make a fool of me? Pai Pa, You have really made me look at you in a different light. Bao Pa straightened his back and coldly looked at Pai Pa. If he did not have killing intent at the start, then he did now. To actually make him lose face in front of so many people. His father was still watching from above, and that trashy brother-in-law was probably still laughing in his heart. Unable to defeat him even with an ancient divine weapon. What a noob. Hee, Bao Pa, I will give you one chance. If you admit defeat now, I will spare your life. Pai Pa said indifferently. Using the same words, he was also telling Bao Pa not to underestimate anyone. Of course, only when he was in a desperate situation would he be able to unleash his great strength. Bao Pa laughed loudly. You want me to admit defeat? Pai Pa, you are probably dreaming. Is that so? Don't you feel that your body is a little strange? Pai Pa suddenly asked. Bao Pa's expression froze. He indeed felt that his body was a little stiff. You poisoned me. A wound appeared on Bao Pa's right shoulder. Although it was not deep, it still cut him. Pai Pa waved the blade in his hand, but it was not as strange as Yang Haotian. He licked it. Indeed, I poisoned you a little. It is enough to make you hesitate for a moment. So Bao Pa, this time you will lose for sure. After saying that, Pai Pa placed his sword horizontally in front of his chest. The entire black sword floated in the air. Green jade killing intent. Pai Pa spread his arms, and the sword in front of his chest immediately flew to the top of Pai Pa's head, turning into more than 10 flashing black swords. The tips of the swords were aimed at Bao Pa, but Bao Pa still seemed to be struggling. His face gradually revealed fear. Pai Pa, you dare. Bao Pa, this is the deep sea arena. Leave it to fate, Pai Pa said in a low voice. The sharp sword above his head was already itching to pierce through his opponent's chest, emitting a strange black light. Killing intent appear. Pai Pa did not seem to give Bao Pa the slightest chance. With an angry shout, more than 10 sharp swords with a terrifying aura attacked. Facing such a situation, everyone was a little dumbfounded. This did not seem like a normal martial arts competition. This was simply a slaughter. What kind of deep hatred do you have? Is there a need to do this? Pai Liangjun, you shameless bastard. Not only did you smear poison on your sword, you actually told your son to smear poison. Bao Xi immediately scolded. All is fair in war. Don't you understand? Pai Liangjun said disdainfully. So what if he smeared poison? Wasn't this very normal? After saying that, Pai Liangjun did not speak anymore. He wanted to see how long Bao Xi could wait. Chapter 906. Bao Xi seemed to have understood what Pai Liangjun meant. Pai Liangjun wanted Bao Xi to apologize to Bao Xi. As expected, he is shameless. However, Bao Xi believed in his son. After all, he knew his son's capabilities. This kind of situation is indeed very troublesome, but my son should be able to handle it. He definitely can. Bao Pa, who was in a stiff state, looked at the tens of swords that were flying towards him, and he was making a decision in his mind. In 0.1 seconds, Bao Pa had already made up his mind, and he shouted out angrily, Heavenly Sealing Ghost Chart, an ata. After Bao Pa said that, everyone was shocked once again. They didn't expect that even Bao Pa would use an ata. Are the two of you crazy? Is there a need to fight like this? Isn't this a lose-lose situation? After all, Bao Pa was currently a rank 8 Dozun. After using an ata, he would become a rank 7 Dozun, and going from rank 7 to rank 8 was not as simple as going from rank 1 to rank 2. The experience value required was quite a lot. Therefore, Bao Pa suffered even more, but what else could he do? He was already forced into a desperate situation. If he didn't use an ata, he would definitely be heavily injured. If he did that, he would definitely be heavily injured. There was no way he could win. The two of you are crazy. Kong Feiqing laughed lightly. To actually use an ata as a side dish. Is there a need for this? We are all from Water City. How are we going to meet in the future? Right now, Bao Xi's expression was very ugly. He felt that it was not worth it for Pa to use an ata, and that Pai Liangjun was only rank 2. Even if it dropped to rank 1, it would still be acceptable, and it would be easy for him to cultivate again. But my son, this damned Pai Liangjun, he is definitely the one who instigated my son to do this. Bastard! Yi Zizi sighed lightly. I originally thought that I would be able to make a comeback, but I didn't expect that. I still didn't succeed. That might not be the case. Everyone has to have hope. If there is no hope, what difference is there between a person and a salted fish? Kai Yun smiled sweetly, giving off a very pure feeling, as if he could easily swindle someone. Qing Yutong and Brett smiled bitterly and shook their heads. Salted fish is his honor's catchphrase, calling others salted fish for no reason. Even if they make a comeback, they will still be salted fish. Pai Cheng and the others who were watching the battle at the side were also extremely shocked. This battle seemed to have already surpassed their imagination. This third brother of his was simply too good at hiding, pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger. He actually forced Bao Pa to use an ata. This was already considered a win. There was nothing more to say. Kong Hong and Kong Tai's expressions sank as they realized the gap between them and the others. They decided to cultivate properly in the future and try to catch up. If the others could force Bao Pa to use an ata, they had to be ruthless. Seeing that Bao Pa had also used the selfless body, the corners of Leather's mouth curled up, finally unable to hold back. In that case, even if he lost this time, it would be a glorious defeat. He had forced him to take out the Chaos Divine Weapon, and had even forced him to use the Selfless Divine Weapon. It was a huge gain for him, and a huge loss for him. Bao Pa used Selfless and a huge vortex surged out from his body. The dozen or so black blades didn't even manage to pierce through the vortex before they were scattered. It was clear how terrifying this vortex was. However, this was nothing. Bao Pa, who was in the whirlpool, was emitting a frightening aura. He, who was originally a grade 8 Dozun, had instantly reached the peak of the Dozun class. His strength was still continuously rising. Kong Fei Chung said in a deep voice, "This. I'm afraid that he will reach Shi Zun." Pai Liang Jun did not speak. Third brother had used the selfless body, and his strength was already half a Ji Zun. As for the grade 8 Bao Pa, his strength would definitely break through the Dozun class and reach the ranks of Ji Zun. Third brother would definitely not be able to defeat Bao Pa, but he wouldn't lose out either. Bao Ci did not speak now. He seemed to have shut himself up because even if his son won, it would still be a huge loss. Bang! A deep sound resounded through the bottom of the sea. The huge vortex instantly disappeared, and the person who appeared in front of everyone was still Bao Pa. However, his entire body had turned black, and he was exactly the same as Leather. The 7 ministers that were originally flashing with the brilliance of stars had also turned black, and he looked extremely terrifying. The main point was, the current Bao Pa did not emit any aura at all, and he was just like an ordinary person. Ji Zun. Qing Yutong smiled slightly. That's right, this Qi method is too awesome. Even Kai Yun said that this Qi method was awesome. Then it was definitely awesome. Brett did not refute. He even nodded his head. This Qi method was indeed awesome. The guards beside them basically did not hear what they were talking about, as everyone's attention was attracted by Bao Pa, who was in the middle of the battlefield. Qi Shu Win was the same as well. This Qi method is practically an instant Ji Zun. This kind of Qi method is simply too abnormal. Big Brother is truly formidable. Although Bao Yu said that, she was still very worried in her heart. Qi Shu Win did not speak. This kind of high-intensity showdown caused him to see a lot of things, and a lot of helplessness. Just like the North and South martial arts competition back then, I could only sit at the side and watch, and it was no different from now. The showdown between experts seemed to have nothing to do with me, and I also seemed to be unable to interfere in this kind of showdown. I will forever be a bystander. I have been like this since the very beginning. Then why did the heavens give me a system? Then don't give it to me. You want me to give it to an ordinary person? Since you gave me hope, you want to destroy my hope. I, Qi Shu Win, do not want to be a side character. I, Qi Shu Win, am fated to be the main character. On the battlefield, Leather's aura was still as strong as before, and Bao Pa appeared to be very at ease. This is Ji Zun. He is no different from an ordinary person. Bao Pa also felt his own strength, as if he could tear the sky apart. This kind of feeling is indescribable, very satisfying. So this is how Ji Zun feels. I have finally experienced it today. It will also be helpful for my future cultivation. It can be considered as a great fortune in misfortune. This Leather in front of me, I can destroy him with a single finger. Bao Pa, you still used an ata. Leather said indifferently, from that posture, it seems like he doesn't want to fight anymore. Bao Pa said in a low voice. Leather, it's all because you forced me, so you have to pay the price. After saying that, he slashed out with his sword, only to see a deathly black light attack towards Leather. That terrifying pressure is definitely not something that Leather can block. Ji Zun and half a Ji Zun. The difference is like heaven and earth. But Leather doesn't believe this. The sword in his hand also emitted a black light. Bang! The entire sea region trembled, the magma below started to boil. This caused the three old men to frown. A terrifying wave of air rushed towards the spectator stands. Bao Ci waved his hand. A barrier immediately cut off this wave of air, to prevent people from getting hurt. Bao Po's figure stood steadily, but Leather's body actually flew backwards, smashing into a seamount, the entire seamount shattering. That clash of sword energy just now was simply a merciless suppression. Without any suspense, Leather was sent flying by the sword. He is probably heavily injured now. Everyone's jaws dropped slightly. This is a Ji Zun. A powerful Ji Zun. Chapter 907. Sigh. Qing Yutong let out a light sigh. It's over. It's over. Yu Hua muttered. There's no chance of a comeback in this kind of situation. Right now, although Bao Ci was not happy, he had no other choice. Therefore, he still had to say what should be said. Forcing my Pa to flip out. Sigh. When Pai Liangjun saw that Bao Pa used an ata, he more or less knew the result, so he didn't want to say anything. Right now, it's fine for third brother to admit defeat. There's no need to continue fighting. He has already proven himself. However, Pai originally thought so too. But now, he didn't think so anymore. A pitch-black figure could be seen scuttling out from the ruins and appearing not far away from Bao Pa. The black armor on Pai's body was broken, his shoulder guard was gone, and his chest was completely shattered. Although he was able to withstand such an attack, his entire body didn't feel that good. Pai, I didn't expect you to still be able to stand up. I have a whole new level of respect for you. If Bao Pa wasn't angry, it would be a lie. Pai wiped off the bloodstain on the corner of his mouth and said with a smile, Bao Pa, if I can also become an overlord, it's hard to say who will win. Pai, seems like you still want to continue fighting? Nonsense, I have already used an ata, how can I not continue fighting? Pai raised his hand and pointed his sword at Bao Pa. The 7 ministers in Bao Po's hand immediately shot out black light, and a terrifying aura began to gradually condense. Pai, I will ask you one last time. Are you going to fight or not? Fight. Pai shouted out angrily, and a powerful duki burst out from his body. The two immediately formed a clear contrast. Bao Po's duki was clearly much stronger. Don't blame me then. Bao Pa immediately rushed forward, and Pai's gaze focused and began blocking Bao Po's attack. Boom boom boom. Rings of light exploded at the bottom of the sea. It was extremely terrifying. Pai was forced to retreat step by step, and Bao Pa was getting more and more courageous. The outcome of the battle was already very obvious. But even so, Pai still didn't retreat, even though his body was already covered with bloodstains. This kind of state made everyone admire him. This is what a real man is like. Just like that son-in-law of Bao family. He is simply trash. Qi Shuwen also wanted to be a man for once, but he didn't have the courage that Pai had. In the field, the two of them separated again. Bao Pa seemed very indifferent. Leather was already gasping for breath. His body was covered in sword wounds, and the sword in his hand had been dented and was on the verge of breaking. Actually, this was the result of Bao Pa going easy on him. If he didn't go easy on him, he would definitely have to leave. Leather, that's enough. Bao Pa said calmly. After all, he had watched him grow up. How could he kill him? There was no enmity between them. Pai took a deep breath, then threw away the sword in his hand. The sharp sword fell directly into the magma and disappeared in an instant. But Leatherface put his palms together. Pa! A huge sound wave spread out. As he put his palms together, everyone felt a different aura. Even Yi Zizi began to frown. This water city is indeed powerful. Its cultivation method is impressive, Yu Hua said softly. However, the 3 old men were no longer calm. They set up a barrier to protect the citizens. Your third bro simply doesn't want to live anymore. Kong Fei Chung said in a deep voice. Pai Liangjuan's expression sank as he let out a small sigh. Your third bro is indeed powerful. Bao Si couldn't help but praise Leather. This is what a real man should be like. Sigh. In the field, Leather muttered to himself. The belated water god's whirlpool. Following this sentence, the seawater began trembling. Decaying sea of sand. Bones appear. Following this sentence, the skeletons that were buried at the bottom of the sea began to move slightly. Lowly life. Shine once again. Heavenly ceiling ghost chart. Bone official. Boom boom boom. Loud sounds rang out from the bottom of the sea, and countless skeletons floated up. There were weak fishes, and there were also strong fishes. All of the skeletons rushed towards Leather. During the entire process, the skeletons gradually gathered together and formed into a huge skeletons. That astonishing aura. It actually reached the level of Overlord. That was way too awesome. Even Kai Yun was a bit dazed. If I were to learn this technique, that would simply be heaven-defying. Even Qing Yutong was a bit envious of this technique. It is simply too overpowered. This rank 2 Do Zun directly reached half-step Do Zun, and he even managed to summon an overlord creature. If the people of this water city were to go out, wouldn't the world be turned upside down? Roar! A bonefish that was formed from skeletons roared furiously. Looking at how those 3 ancient divine beasts revealed their battle intent, it could be seen how powerful this bonefish was. Leather, you are truly powerful. You even know how to use the bone official. As long as one is willing to learn, there is nothing that one cannot learn. Leather said in a deep voice. This was his final trump card. If he still couldn't defeat Bao Pa with this, then there would be no hope. You are right. As long as one is willing to learn, Leather, I should be able to learn more than you. Bao Pa kept his 7 ministers and said faintly, since you like to play with the heavenly ceiling ghost chart, then I will play with you till the end. Bao Pa also placed his hands together. Bang! The wave that was created caused everyone's scalp to go numb. Luckily, there was a barrier protecting them, if not everyone would have died. Dusty Water God. Hearing these words, the expressions of the 3 old men changed greatly. Crazy! Kong Feiqing shouted in a deep voice. Pai Liangjun did not hesitate at all and was about to charge forward on his prairie-blazing warhorse. However, Bao Si's figure immediately stopped him. Get out of my way! Bao Si said in a deep voice. You should know. If you stop my purr, he will suffer a backlash. So what? Bao Si's expression turned cold. So what? Your son is alive. So is my son not alive? This is all your third son's fault. How many times have I told him to stop? Your son just won't listen. He even used the bone official. Brother Pai, I want to say something fair about this matter. You really can't interrupt them now. Kong Feiqing said in a deep voice, standing beside Bao Si. Fine. You two can do it. If anything happens to my third son, I will kill your entire family. Pai Liangjun could no longer maintain his calm. After all, his son's life was now in danger. Kai Yun said in a low voice. Look at those 3 old men, they are quarreling. Haha, this is great. Yi Zizi clapped her small hands and said excitedly. Qing Yutong laughed tenderly. She felt that everything was within her grasp, and there was not the slightest bit of deviation. They were fighting to the death, and she did not do anything. However, Bao Pa continued to shout, clear water covers the ocean, man controls life and death. Heavenly ceiling ghost chart. Water screen. Above the bonefish's head, a terrifying aura suddenly condensed, and a water fist was gradually forming. That huge pressure actually caused the bonefish to be unable to move, let alone its skin. This was a water screen released by Ji Zun. The degree of terror was already incomparable. Chapter 908. The terrifying water fist brought with it an immense pressure as it descended. The surrounding seawater was actually emptied. Boom! The water fist landed heavily on Yu Gu's body. Yu Gu, who was already a supreme martial artist, actually couldn't withstand it, and his whole body suddenly fell down. However, the skin was just below the fish bones, and the whole person was brought down by the fish bones. But what was below? Lava. Magma that could melt anything. This left everyone dumbstruck. Even the 3 old men were dumbfounded, unable to react in time. However, just like that, he lost his last chance to save them. After all, this was a cultivation technique that was released by a Ji Zun. If he lost this opportunity, then it would be gone forever. Third brother. Pai Liangjun's figure instantly disappeared from the prairie-blazing warhorse. However, he was still a beat too late. Puff. The water fist brought the fish bones and skin into the magma, while Pai Liangjun stood above the magma, stretched out his hand, and watched his son fall into the magma. His entire body froze. No one had expected such a sudden situation. Even Bao Pa didn't expect it, because it was also his first time using the water screen. This was truly an accident. But even if it was an accident, Bao Pa still accidentally killed Pippi. Bao Ci rushed to his son's side, while Kong Feiqing stood beside Pai Liangjun to prevent him from going berserk. Pai Cheng and Pai Guanghui stared blankly at the boiling lava, their minds blank. No matter how bad their relationship was, how could they accept the fact that their brother had died in front of them? Kong Hong and Kong Tai were also very surprised. It was too sudden, so sudden that no one could react. Looking at the dumbfounded audience, the bottom of the sea was calm. Qing Yutong and the others were also a little surprised. This water screen actually blasted Ji Zun's bonefish down, and it even brought along its skin. This Pai Pai was a good person. When she was acting on the ship, he helped her. Although the process was a little awkward, at least he appeared. My intention was good, although I changed my mind in the end, but you're still a good person. Under such a terrifying water screen, the skin was basically unable to move at all, and could only be taken off by the bonefish without any means to save itself. At this moment, Abalone was also stunned. She was so scared that her face turned pale. However, Qi Shuwen didn't. After all, they had never come into contact with each other before. They were even cursing each other just now. It would be good if he died. No. It's good that they're dead. Let's fight. It's best if we kill them all. I curse you. Pai Pai. Pai Liangjun, who had lost his beloved son, was infuriated. The aura of a sovereign burst forth, which was much stronger than Bao Po's. The entire magma seemed to be able to sense Pai Liangjuan's anger, turning from gold to blood red, as if Pai Liangjuan's blood had dyed the magma red. Pai Cheng and Pai Guanghui instantly appeared in front of their father, glaring angrily at the Bao father and son. Bao Ci and Bao Pa looked at the three from House Pai, their expressions a little unnatural. Brother Pai, please calm down. Go to hell and calm down. Bao Pa, give me back my son's life. Pai Liangjun furiously shouted and punched towards Bao Pa. Bao Ci narrowed his eyes and stood in front of his son. Pai Liangjun, you're being unreasonable. You killed my son, and you want me to reason with you? I'll kill your son first. Are you crazy? Let's not talk about the risks in the deep sea arena. My payer told your son to admit defeat, but your son didn't listen, causing such a result. Who's at fault? Everyone can be the judge. Bao Ci directly punched out. When the fists of the two supreme martial artists collided, the entire surface of the ocean trembled, and cracks even appeared on the surface of the ocean. However, on the surface of the Sea of Innocence, a gigantic tsunami actually appeared. The tsunami's height had already reached a few hundred meters, and it was currently heading towards the coastal area. This was something that no one expected. If a tsunami like this were to land on the coastal area, it would definitely be a devastating disaster. Right now, the situation at the bottom of the ocean wasn't looking good either. The two supreme martial artists started fighting, and Kong Feiqing couldn't do anything about it. One of his sons died. How could he not be angry? However, the spectators could only watch the fight between the supreme martial artists. Although they couldn't see the fight clearly, it was still very satisfying. Pai Liangjun, that's enough. Bao Ci shouted coldly. I'm going to kill you today. Did you forget what we came here to do today? Bao Ci said in a low voice. After hearing what Bao Ci said, Pai Liangjun paused for a moment and clenched his fists tightly. After today's matter is over, we'll talk about this matter again. How about it? Go to hell. Pai Liangjun still chose to take revenge for his son. Whatever, Seal, I don't care about it anymore. Kong Feiqing took a deep breath, then said towards his two sons, You two quickly go back. Don't stay here anymore. Father, quickly go back. Kong Hong and Kong Tai took a look at the five beauties and seemed to be a bit unwilling to give up. Kong Feiqing nearly exploded from anger. Look at what time it is already. And you two are still thinking about beauties. Can you two grow up? Look at that guy's skin, he has great talent, but he still died in the end. Scram. Yes. Kong Hong and Kong Tai could only leave. Father definitely has something to do. Looking at the boiling magma, Kong Feicheng felt a bit uneasy. However, just when this thought appeared in his mind, the boiling of the magma became even more intense, and an overflowing aura gushed out crazily. Pai Liangjun and Bao Ci, who were fighting, stopped and looked at the magma beneath their feet. Even the spectators looked towards the magma, and their hearts were filled with curiosity. What is going on? After being quiet for so many years, why did the magma suddenly start boiling today? Father, just what is going on? Bao Pa came to his father's side and asked in a low voice. Pa, quickly leave with Shaki. Father, you have to tell me what is going on, right? Bao Pa said solemnly. Looking at the magma, Bao Ci took a deep breath. This is the seal that our ancestor left behind. Old ancestor again. Who exactly was their old ancestor? What is down there? To actually be able to survive in the magma. Hearing his father's words, Bao Pa was a bit absent-minded. This is an extremely dangerous creature. If we use it well, it will be our family's treasure. If we don't use it well, the consequences will be unimaginable. Father, what is it called? Abyssal wave. Right after Bao Ci finished speaking, a furious roar actually came out from within the magma. The roar seemed to be carrying unwillingness and humiliation, and then, it was about to appear and destroy everyone. Quickly! Bring Shaki and leave! Bao Ci shouted. Bao Pa was unwilling to delay and hurriedly flew towards his little sister. Qi Shu Win, quickly leave with Shaki! Bao Pa shouted towards his brother-in-law. Big brother. Did something happen? Seemingly not knowing what was going on, Bao Yuyu asked concernedly. Qi Shu Win, didn't you hear what I said? All right, big brother. Qi Shu Win hurriedly answered, then brought along the unwilling Bao Yuyu. Qi Shu Win also felt a terrifying aura. If I don't leave now, I'm afraid that I won't be able to leave later on. However, Bao Pa didn't plan to leave right now. I still have an atar on me. I can still help my father. Chapter 909. Why did you come back? Don't you know that I told you to leave? Bao Ci shouted in a low voice. Do you think this is a game? That could cost someone's life. Bao Pa said in a deep voice. Father, I have already opened an atar. There is still an hour left. With my sovereign strength, I can also help you. Hearing his son's words, Bao Ci seemed to have just realized that his son had opened the Anatar realm and also had the strength of a supreme martial artist. Then go evacuate the people first. Yes. Pai Liangjun was furious, but the roar from the magma calmed him down a little. The two of you, go home immediately. Pai Liangjun said in a deep voice. Father. Scram. Pai Cheng and Pai Guanghui felt quite helpless. They wanted to help their father, but they had no choice but to scram. After all, his strength was there, and he still had to let his father take care of him. But what kind of monster was under the magma? While carrying doubts, Pai Cheng and Pai Guanghui left first. At this moment, Bao Pa was also evacuating the audience. However, some people were unwilling to leave. It seemed that there was going to be a good show to watch soon. It seemed like this excitement was not divided by region. People everywhere liked to watch a good show, and they didn't mind it. But some people were destined to be tragic. Roar! Waves of frenzied roars reverberated through the entire sea. Once again, an even larger tsunami appeared on the Sea of Innocence. This was a disaster. Magma began to erupt like sparks. Even the barrier set up by the three old men was unable to withstand the erosion of the magma. It disappeared in an instant. When a drop of lava fell on someone's arm in the spectator stands, a maniacal scream suddenly rang out. This person began to turn into a skeleton at a speed visible to the naked eye. This magma was indeed terrifying. Moreover, the magma was like a dense Gatling gun, falling into the surroundings. The crowd was screaming. If they were given another chance, they definitely wouldn't stay and watch the show. It was as if they were playing with their lives. The four honorable beings were also resisting the lava. After all, if it were to land on their bodies, they did not know what sort of damage it would cause. Meanwhile, at Qing Yutong's side, All of the Imperial guards surrounding her were shot down. Only the 5 of them were fine. It was as if they had the protagonist's halo. The magma just didn't land on them. It was as if tens of thousands of arrows were shot at the same time, but they just couldn't hit their target. It didn't make sense. His luck was just that good. Yi Zizi closed her eyes and murmured, "This voice is really nice." "Yeah, it's the sound of nature." Kai Yun also closed his eyes in enjoyment. It was too comfortable. Brett pursed his lips. "What 2 little perverts. It's none of your business, old woman." Yi Zizi snorted. Brett couldn't be bothered to lower himself to Yi Zizi's level, so he stopped talking. Qing Yutong, on the other hand, was looking inside the magma. Just what kind of monster would appear? Hearing that roar, it should be a very powerful monster. This was no small matter and could not be underestimated. All right, it was just a joke. There were 5 freaks standing here, so the ones he had to be careful of were the 4 supreme beings. A stream of magma spurted out like a fountain. It was dazzling and beautiful. However, this magma spewed out from the deep sea. On the vast sea of innocence, a terrifying wave of lava burst out of the sea and rushed into the clouds. However, when the magma was blown by the wind from high up in the sky, it was originally perfectly straight, but right now it started to bend. As for where it would be blown to, no one knew. However, it was hard to deny that if this magma were to fall down, it would be a terrifying disaster. "Old Mao, how's today's harvest?" A 70-year-old old man walked over while holding onto a fishing rod and a sieve. His face was brimming with a gentle smile. "Old Wang, that little grandson of yours has just been born. Are you willing to come out?" Old Mao was also a 70-year-old old man. Wearing a conical bamboo hat, he turned his head around and said with a smile. Old Wang sat beside Old Zhang and said with a slight smile, "Fishing is more important for us brothers. It's fine as long as there is an old woman looking after us." "Look at your mouth that can't be closed. It must be comfortable to have a grandson." Old Wang said with a slight smile. "That's right, if that son of mine didn't fight for it, he would have stayed in this small fishing village for the rest of his life, waiting for that little grandson to bring honor to our old Wang family. Bring honor to our ancestors." Sigh. Old Mao let out a deep sigh. "That son of yours hasn't returned home for almost 20 years, right?" Sigh. "Sometimes, I really feel that I don't have this son anymore. That son of yours is very busy, but fortunately with your son in Meridian Break sect, our village is a bit better off." Old Mao laughed lightly. "In the past, I did feel that I had a lot of face, but after a long time, who would be able to endure it? Fishing, don't talk about such a depressing matter. All right, let us return with a full harvest today." The 2 hid at the seaside and chatted while fishing. There was even a small glass of wine placed at the side. "Old Mao, am I drunk? The horizon seems to be covered?" Old Wang rubbed his eyes and asked curiously. Old Wang rubbed his eyes and asked confusedly, "What is that?" However, at the horizon, a huge tsunami came attacking, and the terrifying pressure seemed to be able to tear everything apart. Old Mao. What is this?" Old Zhang grabbed onto Old Mao's arm and asked in alarm. Old Mao was also stupefied by the thing in front of him. "It's too tall. It's too tall. It seems to be able to cover the entire sky." The tsunami didn't come, but a strong gale immediately came, and the 2 elders were instantly blown away. Their bodies fiercely collided onto the big rock behind them, and the 2 of them spurted out blood. And in the fishing village that was a few hundred meters behind them, all of the houses were flipped over. There were thousands of people in the fishing village, and in an instant, more than 10 people died. Panic spread in everyone's heart, because everyone saw that terrifying tsunami. Covering the blazing sun in the sky, everyone immediately knelt down and prayed, praying to the sea god for protection. Old Mao, Old Zhang. The 2 elders looked at the tsunami that was surging towards them, but they didn't have any way to stop it. Whoosh! The tsunami that reached the sky instantly overturned the entire fishing village, and everyone died at this moment. Even if it was a newborn child. It was simply cruel to the extreme. This fishing village was the village that was the closest to the tsunami, and there were more than 100 similar towns in the surroundings. The terrifying tsunami did not weaken in the slightest and continued attacking towards the mainland. However, at the back, an even more terrifying tsunami was following closely behind. When everyone looked at the tsunami that was swallowing everything, despair Deep despair. However, at the same time when everyone was in despair, a blazing flame appeared in the sky and slid past their heads. At the Meridian Break Sex Outer Sex Law Enforcement Team, it was currently time to eat. Team Leader Mao. Congratulations. I heard that you are going to the inner courtyard. A law enforcement team member held onto a wine cup and chuckled. Chapter 941 Translations. Looking at the current Yi Yan and Yi Lu, this was the relationship that siblings should have. Once again, it showed that Yi Hua's arrangement was correct. I wonder what sister is doing now, and that ice lump, Yi Yan murmured. Yi Lu, who was at the side, became cold again. She only acted coquettishly to her own brother. Indeed, Yi Lu did not act coquettishly in front of God Yi. She only acted coquettishly in front of Yi Yan because Yi Yan was her brother. Sister must be bullying brother God Yi, Yi Lu said indifferently. Yi Lu said faintly as he pulled Yi Yan towards the cultivation room. He was already a little impatient. Yi Yan sighed. God Yi is so pitiful. Fortunately, Dad was smart and let me team up with you. Otherwise, I would have been killed by sister. Now you know that sister is good. You ignored me in the past. I am my good Lu-er. Why did brother ignore you in the past? It was you who didn't play with brother and always hung out with God Yi. Yi Yan pouted. How could he say that he, as a brother, did not play with him? How heartless. Yi Lu smiled. Brother, I know I was wrong. I'll accompany brother more in the future. Yi Yan hugged his sister's shoulder. That's my good sister. Let's go. I'll let you practice. But I have to say, don't slap my face. I won't slap his face this time. I know you want to pick up girls. Hee, don't tell mom and dad. This is a little secret between us. I know. The siblings walked towards the training room under everyone's gaze. Then they both sighed. They mourned for the training room for a second. Because it was about to collapse. It would basically collapse once a month. These two were simply perverts. As the siblings walked into the training room, everyone had a panicked expression. Especially those who were taught a lesson by Yi Lu. They immediately pretended not to see it. Yi Yan continued to walk without caring about anyone. Yi Lu returned to her normal expression. Acting coquettishly was not a normal expression. The two walked towards the dedicated training room. Yi Yan pushed open the heavy metal door. Shouts could be heard from inside. Another child of the same age was waving his fists. He looked very serious, and his face was covered in sweat. It's him again, Yi Yan muttered. Yi Lu replied calmly. The boy inside turned around to look at Yi Yan and Yi Lu. Of course he knew them. They were about to become the principal's final disciples. No one dared to provoke them. It could be said that they could do whatever they wanted in Deity Institution. But he refused to accept it. Why were they allowed to become the disciples of Ji Zun and not him? He slept later than them, got up earlier than them, and worked harder than them. In just a few breaths of time, 1/5 of the outer sect had been set ablaze, and the magma was still flowing. This panic quickly attracted the attention of the inner courtyard. The Dozong teacher immediately flew to the scene of the incident. Hair hardening, what's going on? Where did this thing come from? A Dozong teacher questioned. I don't know. It fell from the sky. Just as the two of them were talking, another person suddenly appeared beside them. Everyone was stunned for a moment, then immediately knelt down and shouted, Greetings, Sovereign! The person who came was the Broken Pulse Sect's Sovereign, Lasting Hatred. Sovereign, the magma fell from the sky. The Dozong teacher seemed to have something difficult to say. Lasting Hatred looked at the long line of magma and said in a deep voice, A disaster has fallen from the sky, causing a great change in time. Could it be related to that skeleton? Hair Hardening said in a low voice. Lasting Hatred waved his hand and an unknown wind blew over. The falling magma gradually moved. Although it still landed in the outer sect, it slowly moved outside. But what was outside? It was filled with countless mountains. Even Lasting Hatred could not get rid of the magma and could only move it away. After all, the inner courtyard was filled with talented disciples. They had to make a choice. As the magma moved, it finally left the outer sect and began to pour onto the mountains outside. A terrifying fire descended in an instant, and the mountains turned into a sea of fire. Everyone's hearts trembled as they watched on. Lasting Hatred's hands immediately condensed a white glow, following which, the white glow slowly rose into the sky. Soon, a dark cloud covered the sky, and it began to pour. Hopefully it would be of some use. Lasting Hatred comforted himself in this way. Where did this magma come from? And it accurately fell into his own sect. Report! A dozong quickly flew over and bent down in front of Lasting Hatred. Speak. The southern coast was attacked by 2 tsunamis, suffering heavy losses. Tsunamis? Lasting Hatred was puzzled, and his body instantly disappeared. Standing at the side, hair hardened when he heard this. The parents of the coastal area quickly ran back home. In the deity institution, Dean Tai he was reading the results of the 2 little ancestors, and his face revealed a praising expression. Not bad. Yi Yen and Yi Lu are both not bad. They are extremely talented. I like them. Tai he laughed loudly. However, it seemed that the damned Meridian Breaking sect also had 2 good ones. It was really troublesome. Report. A guard quickly ran into the study and knelt down on one knee. Tai he withdrew his smile, and his expression became respectful. HM? 2 tsunamis appeared in the southern coast, destroying many cities. Tai he frowned, and his body instantly disappeared from the study. Lasting Hatred was already standing not far from the tsunamis, and his gaze became deep. Tai he also appeared beside him, also looking at the tsunamis not far away. What is this water city doing? Lasting Hatred said in a low voice. There was still golden magma above his head. From this direction, it seemed to have appeared from Water City. Tai he said in a low voice, I'm afraid something happened to Water City. Water City has been peaceful for so long. Why did something happen at this time? Are those 3 supremes useless? Lasting Hatred said angrily. Now that he found out that the golden magma came from Water City, how could he not be angry? He originally thought that it was a natural omen, but it turned out to be man-made. It can't be that Water City is declaring war on us again. Tai he said in a low voice, and his body gradually revealed a huge aura. Under this aura, the surging tsunamis actually decreased, and then turned into seawater that flowed on the ground. Then accept their declaration of war. Lasting Hatred shouted in anger, and a terrifying pressure directly flattened the second tsunami. Tai he said indifferently, I'll go back and make some preparations first. We have to talk to them properly about this matter. That's fine. After saying that, Tai he disappeared. And Lasting Hatred looked at the golden magma in the sky, and there was nothing he could do. However, at this moment the golden magma actually fell. Baidu search 881 Chinese network yen. No advertising words. Chapter 9:11. Long Hatred immediately dispersed, and a long stream of magma fell onto the ground, instantly igniting the ground. Seeing such a scene, Long Hatred clenched his fists. This is going too far. Do you really think that you can do whatever you want just because you have 3 supremes? What a frog at the bottom of a well. At the same time, Long Hatred also disappeared from the sky. When he saw that half of his outer courtyard had disappeared, he really wanted to call for help right now and rushed to Water City to demand an explanation. Do you really think that I, who live on land, am easy to bully? However, the rainwater had no effect on the magma at all. What was supposed to be burning was still burning. Water City, you guys did well this time. You've angered me. A debt of blood must be paid with blood. On the other side, Mao Hao also rushed back home at top speed. He didn't even hesitate to use a few jump scrolls, which were his trump cards for escaping. However, he couldn't care so much right now. Mao Hao, who was in the sky, saw that the land had turned into an ocean, and a large number of corpses appeared on the surface of the ocean. To ordinary people, this tsunami was simply a huge killing power. They had no way of resisting it at all. My home is right by the sea. Since this place has turned into an ocean, then, Mao Hao didn't dare to stay any longer. He used the jump scrolls again and rushed back desperately. But, Mao Hao couldn't find his home anymore. There was seawater everywhere, and there were corpses of humans and animals everywhere. Father! Mother! Mao Hao roared angrily. He regretted himself. He was so focused on training that he didn't go back to take a look. He only regretted it when something happened. Ah! Mao Hao roared and looked at the distant ocean. Sea of Innocence. Inside the deep-sea arena, no one knew what had happened outside, nor did they know what the consequences of those few strikes just now were. Because they couldn't do anything about it, the thing in front of them was the biggest threat. A huge golden claw stretched out from the magma and stabbed into the sea rocks at the side. Father, what exactly is this abyssal wave? Bao Po was a bit shocked. This monster. I'm afraid its strength is above supreme. Bao Po didn't say anything, he just stared at what was about to appear. Kong Feiqing said faintly, the prehistoric divine beasts and ferocious beasts that we're familiar with are the strongest spiritual creatures, but above them, there's another terrifying existence. Inferno. Pai Liangjun said. Bao Po was confused. He had never heard of the burning fiend before. This term was too foreign to everyone. Bao Ci said gravely, the term burning fiend represents a race. There are a lot of races within this race, countless of them. It's just that they are gradually disappearing from everyone's sight. And this abyssal ocean wave is also a race of burning fiend. It was imprisoned here by the old ancestor. Father, how powerful is Fan Sha? Bao Po swallowed his saliva. It sounded very powerful. I don't know. Bao Ci shook his head. He was indeed here to deal with this scourge. Otherwise, the entire water city would suffer. However, it was said that as long as they defeated the Fan Sha, they would be able to subdue it. Therefore, they had to face the danger and strive to subdue this monster. Of course, Yu Hua heard their conversation. She smiled and said, they even know about Fan Sha. They're not simple. Just who is their ancestor? He seems to know everything, said Brett with a faint smile. Doryman. Qing Yutong giggled. She was not worried about the monster that was about to appear in the slightest. I like Crayon Shinchan. Kai Yun pouted his mouth, then said, I have an elephant so big. When this sentence was said, it caused the four women to laugh. So big, do you have an elephant? Just as the five women were chatting and laughing, an explosion sounded out from within the magma once again. Another sharp claw came out from within the magma. Looking carefully, there was even hair on the claw. Just that, this kind of hair seemed to be more like sharp blades that were flickering with ice-cold chilliness. Boom, 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 boom. Continuous sounds rang out. 8 legs. Ruthlessly stabbing into the surrounding rocks. F***K. So disgusting, I suddenly don't feel like sucking it. Yi Zizi immediately pounced into Qing Yutong's embrace, expressing that she did not like this kind of animal. Kai Yun was the same as he pounced into Yu Hua's embrace. I'm going to vomit. Yu Hua helplessly caressed Kai Yun's back, then said faintly, if I didn't guess wrongly, this should be the Poisonwood race. Poisonwood race? Brett was also a newbie, and he expressed his doubt. Yu Hua nodded her head. The Poisonwood race usually lives in the depths of the sea, and they are the strongest race in the sea. Their entire body is filled with poison, and they are able to adjust the secretion of the poison in their body according to the difference of the enemy. Their body is also incomparably hard, and even ancient artifacts are unable to harm them in the slightest. So powerful? I am going to give it a try later then. Brett's fighting spirit appeared. The main reason was because what Yu Hua said was too powerful. Brett just wanted to try out how powerful the Poisonwood race was and loosen up a bit. Only this kind of opponent would be interesting. This Poisonwood race's battle prowess in the sea is very strong, but when it comes to land, its battle prowess would be reduced by half. Yu Hua added. Kai Yun pouted his mouth and said, furthermore, this Poisonwood race has been soaking in the hot spring for so long, I reckon that it has already become immune to fire attribute weapons. Look at that hair on its legs, it has already evolved. That is indeed the case. Yi Zizi took another peek at the Poisonwood race, and she felt even more disgusted. Yi Zizi hurriedly squeezed her face into Qing Yutong's embrace and refused to come out. While they were chatting idly on one side, on the other side, the atmosphere had already reached the peak. The abyss wave is about to appear. Boom! A huge body emerged from the magma, and the golden magma flowed down slowly from its body. The body looked as if it had just soaked in a hot spring, and one could not feel the heat at all. This body is a bit strange, it looks like a maggot. The body looks soft, and it is even squirming, but it is wrapped around by the golden magma. This feeling is just like the combination of a spider and a maggot, and the disgusting feeling is simply raised to another level. Furthermore, this plaything's body is still very big, and when some of the details are magnified, one's entire body would turn numb just by looking at it. Qing Yutong turned her head away. This is too disgusting. Brett and Yuhua looked at the abyss wave with great interest. As expected of a perverted woman, they are actually able to look at this thing with a serious expression. Excitement can be seen on their faces. The three old men immediately called their mounts. No, it is a prehistoric divine beast. Prairie blazing war horse. Divine dragon. Terrifying giant crocodile. With 7 people that possess the strength of an overlord, is there even a need to be afraid of not being able to deal with a single abyss wave? Bao Ci did not think at all as he quickly formed seals with his hands. Heavenly Sealing Ghost Chart. Black Coffin. For Bao Ci to be able to use the black coffin, he could be said to be rather skilled. Countless black shadows formed around the abyss wave's body, and in a single breath's time, the black coffin had completely enveloped the abyss wave. Chapter 9:12. The black coffin Bao Ci used was even purer, many times stronger than the one Bao Pe used. "Father, is this useful?" asked Bao Pe. "It doesn't work," Bao Ci said solemnly. Just as he finished speaking, Kong Feiqing, who was at the side, quickly formed a seal with his hands, and a terrifying force formed around him. Heavenly Sealing Ghost Manual. Graceful Swan. Following Kong Feiqing's angry roar, countless bright red lights appeared around the black coffin. These lights were like needles, but they were very thin and long. Every thin needle emitted a surging power that was shocking to the extreme. This Heavenly Sealing Ghost Chart was truly a good item. With a flick of Kong Feiqing's finger, all the brilliant light was inserted into the black coffin. When Qing Yutong saw this scene, she suddenly said, "Have you all seen a magic trick, a black box with a knife inside?" "I've seen it before." Yi Zizi raised her hand and said. She looked quite cute. "I've seen it too." Kai Yun also raised his hand like Yi Zizi. They really were 2 primary school students. Yuhua said lightly, "This kind of magic is still too light for Fansha." Kai Yun nodded. At the very least, they had to use strange flames. At this time, Pai Liangjun temporarily put down his hatred and dealt with this abyssal wave first. Pai Liangjun stacked his hands together, his palms facing the huge black coffin. "Silence, Hong sect." As soon as he said that, a golden door appeared in front of the abyssal waves. The entire door looked very complicated, and there were complicated seals on the door beam, giving off a terrifying pressure. Shocking world extermination. Boom! A huge red door appeared behind them, forming a sharp contrast with the golden door. The entire sea trembled slightly. The door of life. Boom! A massive white door appeared on the left, giving off a shocking aura. As soon as the 3 doors appeared, Zhao Fu could clearly feel the black coffin trembling. When Bao Pe saw this, his eyes shone with excitement. This was one of the most mysterious moves of the Heavenly Sealing Ghost Manual. One could only learn it after reaching the utmost exalted level. Even he had only heard of it, but had never seen it before. He didn't expect Pai Liangjun to actually learn it. He wondered if his father knew how to do it. Stargate. Boom. The silver doors descended once more. As the 4 doors descended, the water began to boil. The immense pressure made Bao Pe feel uncomfortable. Too strong. He was simply too strong. Although Bao Pe felt uncomfortable, his eyes were filled with excitement. He also wanted to learn this move. Heavenly Sealing Ghost Chart. 4 Gates of Purgatory. Pai Liangjun shouted in a low voice. The 4 doors quickly merged together, and a phantom appeared within the doors. A terrifying aura swept through the black coffin, and the dazzling red needles were instantly broken. Brett's eyes were deep as he said faintly, "The 4 gates of purgatory are really strong. Each gate emits a different attack method that makes up for each other's flaws. It seems like they don't have physical attacks, but only after experiencing them personally will you know how powerful they are." Looking at Brett's intentions, it seemed like he also wanted to test the might of the 4 gates of purgatory. Who would have thought that this skill would be so incredible? "I'm impressed with Water City now," Yuhua said softly. She had felt bored at first, but after seeing so many Heavenly Sealing Ghost Arts, her curiosity was piqued. But it was just curiosity. Right now, Bao Pa had also discovered Qing Yutong and her group. Just now, he really didn't have the time to look at them, but he didn't expect that they would actually be standing there and not running away. They are really courting death. But I can't go over and say anything right now. After all, the matter in front of me is the most important thing. The attack of the 4 gates of purgatory seemed to have suppressed the abyssal wave, or at least it was unable to react. It is only a zozo. Just wait to be turned into a pool of blood, Pai Liangjun said faintly. In his heart, he could not bear to see this happen. After all, this big fellow is also a treasure. Kong Feiqing shouted in a low voice. Don't let your guard down, this is burning spirit, how can it be so easy to destroy? Just when Pai Liangjun wanted to refute, the black coffin below him started to shake violently, as if it was going to break free. The 4 of them shouted at the same time, Heavenly Sealing Ghost Chart, Imprisonment. Numerous golden ropes wrapped around the black coffin. This fellow is so strong. Kong Feiqing could feel the might that was transmitted over by the ropes. This monster is very powerful. It seems like it is going to break free from the black coffin. Qing Yutong and the others just watched. They did not plan to make a move. Roar! A loud roar shook the black coffin. With a loud bang, the black coffin instantly turned into powder and disappeared into the sea. And the imprisonment on the black coffin dissipated at the same time. The 4 of them were evidently shocked by the recoil, and bloodstains were flowing out from the corners of their mouths. Although the recoil was not fatal, it was enough to make them exclaim in admiration. Just a single roar was able to make them suffer from the recoil. If it were to become serious, then it would be terrible. Abyss wave once again appeared in everyone's line of sight. The eye below his forehead looked too scary. Although it was only one eye, however, the area of the eyes occupied the entire face, so when they opened, they looked very frightening. 4 of Abyss Wave's sharp claws pierced towards the 4 gates of purgatory. The 4 gates of purgatory were like a powerless little girl. They could only be pierced through. They did not even have the slightest chance to struggle. The 4 gates of purgatory were instantly destroyed. Meanwhile, Abyss Wave seemed to be a bit angry. One of his eyes stared fixedly at the 4 of them, seemingly wanting to exterminate them. This eye is a bit similar to mine, Kai Yun said jokingly. Because his main body also had a pair of huge eyes. His eyes were a bit similar to this eye. They are in trouble, Brian said lightly. What happened just now was the best opportunity. If they are unable to get rid of this Abyss Wave would become their nightmare. Abyss Wave's body suddenly leaped high up into the air, then rapidly descended. Disperse! Bao Xi shouted out loudly. The 4 of them and their pets all dispersed. Boom! When Abyss Wave descended, the entire scene brought about a gigantic underwater tsunami. Everything in front of them was sand, making it impossible to see anything within a meter of them. Qing Yutong smiled. This Abyss Wave sure is smart. Yu Hua smiled, then said lightly, burning spirits are all high-level life forms. They all have their own thoughts, and they use their brains to fight, unlike ancient divine beasts that don't need brains. Right now, Bao Xi was a bit flustered. The aura of an overlord instantly spread out, seemingly wanting to use the pressure that erupted out from his body to blow away the surrounding sand. However, the more he boasted, the more Bao Xi felt helpless. Roar! Bao Xi's mount, the terrifying crocodile, suddenly let out a roar. This kind of roar was not one of excitement, but the kind of roar that was filled with pain. No! Although Bao Xi did not know what happened, he could feel that his mount was in imminent danger. However, the surrounding sand was too dense. It was definitely this Abyss Wave's doing. Does it have such a smart brain? End of this chapter. Chapter 9:13. The terrifying giant crocodile let out a blood-curdling screech, and the entire seabed fell silent. Bao Xi's face darkened, as if he had already sensed it. However, Pai Liangjun was gloating. The death of a mount was a devastating blow to Bao Xi. He was probably even sadder than if his son had died. His son could be reborn, but this prehistoric beast could not, and even more so could not be tamed. This was retribution. It wasn't that the time hadn't come yet. With that thought in mind, Pai Liangjun immediately ordered his steed to leave. He had already lost a son, so he could not lose the prairie-blazing warhorse as well. Kong Feiqing thought so too. He immediately ordered his dragon to leave. He had thought that they would still be able to put up a fight against such a monster, but in the end, they would only be eaten. This was unacceptable. Gradually, the sea of sand began to sink, and the field of vision became clear. However, the four of them looked at the scene in front of them and felt their scalps go numb. To be honest, that terrifying huge crocodile's body size is longer than Abyssal Wave, and it definitely has an advantage in terms of body size. However, in terms of strength there is a world of difference. The weak were food. Just like now, the Abyssal Waves were currently gnawing on the terrifying giant crocodile. Even the front half of its body was gone, and its huge head was eaten. Bao Ci was infuriated to the extreme when he saw this scene. This was his mount, but now it was eaten alive, and right in front of him. The seawater was immediately suffused with a scarlet color and the smell of blood. This was the scent that Yi Zizi and Kai Yun liked the most. Just smelling it, it was extremely fragrant. After all, this was the blood of a primordial ferocious beast, and it was also a great tonic. Abyssal Wave was still enjoying his prey. He did not put the four of them in his eyes at all. Such a long and terrifying huge crocodile, in just a few moves, only its tail was left. This is simply unbelievable. Moreover, as the Abyssal Wave ate, its body gradually emitted a golden light. The light looked a little dim, as if this terrifying giant crocodile couldn't fill it up. As the last tail entered his stomach, Abyssal Ocean Wave burped as a snack. However, even if it was just a single burp, a massive wave of air immediately engulfed Bao Ci and the others. The four supreme beings could only passively defend themselves. "Father, there's no way we can beat them," Bao Pa said in a low voice. Even the desolate wild beast had been eaten. One had to know that that fella had the strength of a supreme being as well. But all it did was cry out once and it was eaten right into its stomach. The three old men had also clearly felt that they had still underestimated Yi Hua. "I thought that I would be able to defeat Yi Hua, but in the end, it was completely not like that. What should we do?" Kong Feicheng whispered. Bao Ci and Pai Liangjun remained silent. If they let this monster go, then the people of Water City would suffer. However, the current problem was that if he perished, the people of Water City would continue to suffer. It seemed like the results were all the same. Now, it was time to make a decision on how to deal with this Abyssal Wave. Such a terrifying creature should not have appeared in the Kangluo continent. It was simply at the level of a bug. No one could defeat it at all. No wonder even the great ancestor could only seal it. It was already the limit for a great desolate era ferocious beast to appear to cause trouble. Now, it was the burning fiend race. What else could they do? "I have an idea," Pai Liangjun said in a low voice. "What?" "Lead him to the land," Pai Liangjun said calmly. He would let the mainlanders deal with this monster. After all, the ones who died were not his own people. Bao Pa said in a low voice, "This is a good idea." "No, this Abyssal Wave is originally an underwater creature. How can it go to land?" Kong Feicheng shook his head. This was simply impossible. Could you let a fish swim on land? He was thinking too much. Then what should we do? Bao Pa was a little anxious. However, just as the four of them were discussing how to deal with the situation, the Abyssal Sea Wave bounced up again and attacked them. That huge impact made everyone's scalp go numb. If they were hit, vomiting blood would be a small matter, and they would probably faint. If Abyssal Ocean Wave only knew these few moves, then he was gravely mistaken. One of the legs actually extended infinitely, and the hair on the leg immediately stood up. It was simply like a primordial divine weapon. Bao Pa, who was running away, turned pale with fright. There was actually a huge phantom image behind him. Bao Pa couldn't care less and could only dodge in a hurry. However, this was the special attack method of Abyssal Wave. The blade-like hair still managed to cut Bao Po's left arm. His left arm was cleanly cut off in an instant. Abyssal Ocean Wave didn't continue to chase and kept its leg. However, Bao Ci only knew that this fellow was called Abyssal Ocean Wave, and didn't know its full name, Poisonwood. Are you all right? Bao Ci hurriedly checked on his son's injuries. Luckily, it was only a broken arm. There was still a way to deal with it. Bao Pa didn't have much worry. "Father, I am fine. It is better to quickly think of a way." "You leave first. Leave this place to father." "Then how?" Speaking until here, Bao Po's eyes suddenly widened, and his eyeballs seemed like they were going to explode. Bao Ci turned his head around and looked at his son confusedly. What happened to you? Bao Pa couldn't say anything, and black objects started appearing on his skin, and his stomach started swelling. Purr! Purr! Bao Ci was anxious, but he didn't know what to do. Bao Po's body became incomparably huge, and it seemed like it was going to explode. Bao Ci! Quickly leave! Your is going to explode! Kong Feiqing hurriedly shouted. Pai Liangjun didn't say anything. This can be counted as a bargain. One of my sons died, and one of my mounts died as well. Doesn't this mean that I still made a profit? Father will think of a way for you. Don't be anxious. Looking at his son's face that was filled with pain, Bao Ci shouted out anxiously. Then, he struck out one technique after another into his son's body, but it didn't have any effect. Kong Feiqing couldn't care so much anymore, and he hurriedly flew over and pulled Bao Ci away. This is the explosion of an overlord. Even if you are an overlord, you will still be implicated. Bao Ci shouted out towards his son, and tears flowed down his face. The explosion that he imagined didn't appear. This voice that suddenly appeared caused even Bao Ci to stop shouting out in grief and indignation. This, Bao Po's swollen stomach was actually torn apart from the inside. 8 legs were revealed outside his stomach. Looking at this scene, Yi Zizi was suddenly startled. F***K, this is an aberration. This poisonous wood is actually the parent body. Yu Hua went into a daze for a moment, then soon after, she smiled and said, "This idea isn't bad, it's more or less like this. Seems like this poisonous wood isn't simple. It actually has this kind of reproduction ability." Kai Yun said faintly. The 3 overlords didn't know that this was a poisonous wood. After all, there weren't any records of this. However, the scene before their eyes had already surpassed their imagination. End of this chapter. Chapter 9:14. Bao Pa was still thinking. He lowered his head and looked at his stomach. His 8 legs were already exposed, and he could even feel his stomach wriggling. Everyone also saw that Bao Po's stomach was flashing, and under this flash, they could clearly see that there was something inside that swollen stomach. It was even exactly the same as that abyssal wave. His 8 legs gradually exerted force and pulled his belly open, finally revealing his body. Bao Po's pair of eyes seemed as if they were going to pop out. Just what is going on? In despair, Bob looked at his father helplessly, just like when he was a child. When Bao Ci saw the look in his son's eyes, his heart felt like it was being cut by a knife. This was his own son. The image of Bao Pa as a child appeared in Bao Ci's mind. Those images made Bao Ci feel like he was going crazy. Puff! The miniature abyssal wave finally bounced out, and Bao Pa lost his life at this moment. Even his primordial spirit did not emerge. His entire body slowly fell, falling onto the sand. It seemed like the primordial spirit had been transferred to the tiny abyssal wave. Zzzzzzz. The waves in the small abyss emitted a subtle sound. Although it was very subtle, everyone could feel that this fellow actually had the strength of a supreme being. It seemed like he had completely absorbed Bao Pa. How could there be such a monstrous monster? However, when Du Mu looked at the remaining 3 people, his huge eyes were filled with desire, as if he wanted to transform these 3 people. Kong Feiqing said in a low voice, "We can't stay here, we have to go back. Call for help." Pai Liangjun nodded his head. Right now, he was basically sending himself to his death. He might even become someone else's sacrifice. If you want to leave, you can leave. I want to avenge my son. Bao Ci was just like Pai Liangjun. How could a father bear to see his son die in front of him? Pai Liangjun shouted coldly, "Do you want to become that little monster and attack the people of Water City?" After saying that, he nodded at Kong Feiqing. The 2 of them carried Bao Ci, and Pai Liangjun took out a scroll. Seeing this situation, Poison Wood's 3 legs immediately rushed over, not intending to let him go. Pai Liangjun hurriedly crushed the scroll, and the 3 of them disappeared, while the 3 legs stabbed the air. Roar! Du Mu roared in anger, and his huge eyes immediately looked towards Qing Yutong and the others. It seems like we are going to suffer a calamity. Qing Yutong smiled, and actually began to do gymnastics while sitting down. Finally, there are no more people, and I can finally go onto the stage. Let me. Kai Yun rolled up his sleeves, looking as if he was saying, don't fight with me over this. It's not easy for me to encounter a burning spirit, so I can properly play with him. I'll do it. Yi Zizi snorted. How could she miss something so fun? Brett said lightly. You two kids go to the side. Old woman, who are you calling a child? I'm talking about you, airport. Brett pouted. Yi Zizi was speechless. 2 water balls fell on my chest. That's incredible. Who would like that? Hee hee, it's fine as long as my absolute heaven likes it. At the very least, it's better than your fried egg. No one likes it, Brett said with a look of disdain. Yi Zizi flew into a rage. Who are you calling a fried egg? I'll beat you up. Yutong, don't stop me. I didn't stop you. Qing Yutong raised both of her hands up high, and with the look of if you want to go, then go ahead, don't say that I am stopping you. Yi Zizi snorted, if your wife doesn't allow it, I'll break those 2 water balls of yours today. Hee hee, are you jealous of me, fried egg? You! Stop, stop, stop. Qing Yutong couldn't take it anymore. These 2 people start scolding each other whenever they are together. I really can't take it anymore. Looking at Poison Wood, all of them had a puzzled look on their faces. Can't you give me face? Let's play rock paper scissors. How about it? Qing Yutong felt that this was the way to give Poison Wood face. Everyone nodded their heads, but Yuhua didn't want to participate. Yuhua, you come as well. The 2 of us have a higher chance of winning. You win, or should I go? Kai Yun was rather smart, pulling Yuhua along to play rock paper scissors. Yuhua had no other choice. She could only do this. Rock paper scissors. Rock paper scissors. Rock paper scissors. The 5 women started playing, and Poison Wood, who was at the side, watched on blankly. That gaze of his was filled with rage. I'm actually being looked down upon, and what's more, I'm being looked down upon by 5 women. They are actually acting as if they are joking with me and don't put me in their eyes at all. However, not far away, there were still 2 figures that did not leave. That was Chi Shu Win and Abalone Fish. Husband, let's go, my big brother, Woo. Abalone Fish had seen everything just now, and she was extremely sad. Chi Shu Win hugged onto Abalone Fish and consoled her in a low voice. Wait a while more, we still have to go and collect Big Brother's corpse. Abalone Fish went into a daze, and was instantly moved. Husband, you are really too good. How would Chi Shu Win even have the intention to go and collect the corpse? I just want to go and pick up some leftovers and see if there are any treasures left. Bao Po's 7 ministers seem to still be there. I can take them away. However, these 5 women are actually playing rock paper scissors. I simply can't take it anymore. Those idiots. We're all deceived by these 5 women. Husband, what are they doing? Abalone Fish asked curiously. They are. I reckon that they are sending someone to the stage. Why did they decide to fight one-on-one? I don't know either. The 2 looked towards a place not far away. Old woman, you can't do it. Hurry up and scram. Yi Zizi cheered, expressing that she was very excited. Kill all of them. Kai Yun was unhappy and snuggled into Yuhua's embrace. Yuhua even had to comfort Kai Yun in a low voice. Qing Yutong, on the other hand, didn't mind. She just wanted to see how Yi Zizi was going to completely oppress them. Yi Zizi took a deep breath, then yawned. The white princess dress that she was wearing on her body added a unique flavor to it. When Abalone Fish saw Yi Zizi walking out, she cried out in surprise. My God, is she preparing to go and fight by herself? That abalone sea wave is so big, and she is so small. Size is not important. What is important is strength. Chi Shu Win said gravely. You are right, but are they that powerful? You will know after you see. Yi Zizi slowly walked into the air, then pointed at Du Mu. You better let me get excited, if not I will suck you to death. Du Mu didn't know how to speak. If not, he would definitely ridicule Yi Zizi right now. You little thing. There is basically no need for me to make a move. The small Du Mu could be seen charging towards Yi Zizi while carrying the aura of a supreme being. The small Du Mu's 8 legs were like blades. Although it was a small Du Mu, the poison within its body was not to be underestimated. The huge impact of the small Du Mu's attack caused Yi Zizi's ponytail to dance crazily, and even Yi Zizi's fringe was messed up. End of chapter. Chapter 9:15. They actually sent a little one over, so gutless. Yi Zizi's ponytails shot out like arrows. Little Poison Wood's eyes seemed to be filled with contempt, and it still didn't change its posture. The four women who were watching the show sighed. They actually wanted to see Yi Zizi make a fool of herself so that they could ridicule her in the future. But this Little Poison Wood was a bit retarded, actually baring its fangs and brandishing its claws. Can't it use some brains? The hair directly pierced into Little Poison Wood's abdomen, and Little Poison Wood's eyes were filled with doubt. As if it didn't understand why hair could pierce through its defense, it simply didn't make sense. However, Little Poison Wood didn't even have time to react, and the blood essence in its body began to rapidly disappear. The speed was so fast that Little Poison Wood's big eyes revealed a look of horror. Its 8 legs could be seen stretching out, seemingly wanting to cut off the hair. Clang, clang, clang. Waves of metallic sounds could be heard, but it was completely useless. Yi Zizi slightly narrowed her eyes and said, "Although it's a bit disgusting, this blood essence is quite pure." It was a supreme after all, and Yi Zizi hadn't tasted it for a long time, so of course she felt that it was delicious. Qi Shuwen and Abalone were dumbfounded when they saw this scene. She, what is she doing? Abalone was incomparably terrified. Originally, he thought that this girl was very cute, especially those ponytails, which added a childlike charm to her. But now there was no childlike charm at all, it was full of terror. Those cute ponytails actually became longer, directly piercing into Little Poison Wood's abdomen, making one scalp go numb. One was disgusting, one was cute. But Abalone felt that this cute one was even more terrifying. I don't know either. Qi Shuwen was also a bit dumbfounded. Just who is this little lowly? She's actually so powerful. That Little Poison Wood has the strength of a supreme. Could it be that this little lowly can crush a supreme? Or could it be that all 5 women can crush a supreme? This is too shocking. Seeing that Yi Zizi was currently eating, Kai Yun fiercely swallowed his saliva. This is delicious, especially that big guy. In 2 breaths' time, Little Poison Wood's body became withered. Yi Zizi retracted her ponytails and licked the corner of her mouth. If I add some ketchup, the taste should be even better. Everyone. Roar! Du Mu, who had been in a daze, finally reacted. His entire body shot forward, his huge body seemingly about to crush Yi Zizi's body. Compared to the Poison Wood, Yi Zizi was like an ant. Yi Zizi stood still as she watched the Poison Wood crash towards her. She even had a smile on her face. Boom! The poisonous wood and Yi Zizi collided fiercely, causing the entire seabed to tremble slightly. Qi Shuwen and Abalone stared blankly at the scene in front of them. Their jaws almost dropped to the ground. The strength of this poisonous tree was enough to make one's hair stand on end. Even the 3 Supremes chose to temporarily retreat and think of a way to deal with it. However, at this time this poisonous tree, was actually sent flying by me. How could he accept this? Even Abalone was rubbing his eyes hard, unable to believe what was happening in front of him. Boom! The huge body of the poison tree landed on the sand, raising a wave of sand. Yi Zizi's body was like a cannonball as she shot towards the poisonous tree. Her petite body was instantly submerged in the sand. Then you can hear it. Boom, boom, boom. The entire ground was shaking. Even the people in Water City could feel it. Right now, the expressions of the 3 Supremes who escaped were very bad. What should we do? If this abyss wave comes over, we won't be able to defend at all. Kong Feiqing said anxiously. This was a disaster for Water City. Feeling the ground shaking, Pai Liangjun gasped for breath. His expression was very bad, and he didn't express any opinion. Meanwhile, Bao Ci, who just saw his son die in front of him, had yet to recover from the sorrowful atmosphere. Say something, are all of you mute? Kong Feiqing roared anxiously. Bao Ci shouted out angrily. Try and see if you still have the mood to care about other things after your son dies. Kong Feiqing didn't know what to say. The 2 of them had both lost a son, and this was indeed a huge blow to their hearts. Especially that he was actually treated as a host. And that Pai fell into the magma, and not even his bones remained. Even Bao Ci's mount was eaten by the abyss wave. This blow was one after another. How could the others accept it? This is simply too cruel. Suddenly, the ground slightly trembled. Not good, Kong Feiqing said gravely. Bao Xi and Pai Liangjun both felt that this should be the aura of the abyss wave. How much longer are you all going to remain passive? If the abyss wave comes over, we will all be finished. At that time, Water City will become a dead city. Kong Feiqing shouted out angrily. Even at this time, they still have the attitude of wanting to give up. With this attitude, how can they possibly win against the abyss wave? Pai Liangjun said gravely. Borrowing the power of the star cannon should be able to be of use. The other two nodded their heads. Right now, we will have to rely on the star cannon on the city wall. Let's hope that this star cannon will be able to be of use. After all, this star cannon is something left behind by the old ancestor. Damn! Just what kind of person is your old ancestor? Are all these things so good? The three Supremes stood on the city wall and stared into the darkness. They were a bit panicked, because the other party wasn't an ordinary monster. It was an especially abnormal monster. Even on the city wall, there were slight tremors. The three's expressions were grave, and they didn't dare to be distracted. They can only strive to defeat the abyss wave. If not, the entire Water City would be doomed. Furthermore, they can't talk about the final distribution, because they have to defeat the abyss wave first. However, right now it was Yi Zizi's one-sided abuse time. Within that petite body of hers, there seemed to be something even more terrifying hidden within. Right now, Du Mu was a bit dazed from the beating, and he looked at Yi Zizi with one of his eyes, revealing I don't understand, but I feel that it's awesome. I feel that I shouldn't be beaten up to this state. Why am I being beaten up like this? I am a burning spirit. A Du Mu. How can the overlord of the sea be beaten up by a brat? This is completely impossible. This is impossible. Qi Shuwen and Bao Yu's bodies stiffened. That girl actually beat up Du Mu. Furthermore, it was that kind of beating up, just like a kindergarten kid bullying a baby. It was completely crushing without any difficulty at all. This isn't fake. The girl who scared away the three Supremes just now should be real. This is what an actor is. At least, this was what Qi Shuwen comforted himself. Du Mu, who was dazed from the beating, suddenly let out a strange groan. The groan was a bit ear-piercing, just like a sonar. Yi Zizi, on the other hand, took a few steps back. I feel that Du Mu is most likely going to use a big move. End of this chapter. Chapter 9:16. Poisonwood fiercely looked at Yi Zizi with one of his eyes, as if he wanted to swallow Yi Zizi alive. And Yi Zizi was the same as well. After I am done playing with this thing, I will eat this thing in front of me. This feels great. This fellow is so big, so thick, so strong. The taste is definitely not bad. I should be able to eat until I am 30% full. I should be able to... PFFF. Everyone was shocked. This Poisonwood's eyeball actually popped out. This is too scary. Is this unintentional or intentional? If it is unintentional, then it is a bit sloppy. Is this fellow so scared that his eyeball popped out? However, the reality was not like that. That huge eyeball rolled onto the sand, looking especially terrifying. When the eyeball rolled out, that huge body seemed to have lost some kind of power, and the body actually gradually shrunk, just like a burnt spider, and was even shrinking infinitely. Not only was the body shrinking, even that eye was shrinking, becoming a normal size. Yi Zizi was also confused. What is this Poisonwood doing? Not only Yi Zizi was confused, Kai Yun and Yu Hua were also confused, not understanding what was going on. Husband, what is going on? Abalone asked curiously. Qi Shuwen felt that if he was unable to answer, it would be a very embarrassing thing. After all, when Abalone Yu asked him in the past, he was like an encyclopedia, and was able to answer everything. Therefore he had to answer it now, even if it was nonsense. Husband, you don't even know? Of course I know. Qi Shuwen hurriedly said, and in his mind, he was currently thinking about how he was going to bullshit. Then husband, tell me, don't tease me anymore. Abalone Yu hurriedly asked. Seeing this monster being beaten to such a state, at least I managed to take revenge for my big brother. Qi Shuwen's face sunk, and just like a philosopher he said, just now, this monster let out a strange sound. It should be summoning its companions. Then why did it make its eyeball pop out? This doesn't make sense, right? Qi Shuwen said inwardly, What do I know? Who knows why it wants to make its eyeball pop out? Is there something wrong with its brain? This is actually a type of secret signal. Maybe this eyeball belongs to someone else? Qi Shuwen bullshit again. There is no helping it. The preparations in the beginning were too good, and it was the same now. Abalone thought for a moment. Husband, you are really too smart. After saying that, she rewarded him with a kiss. Qi Shuwen even had the heart to die. Don't ask me any more questions in the future, please. Especially this kind of problem that he didn't know the answer to. However, at this moment, at the edge of the magma, a palm suddenly stretched out and slapped the sea rock. Qing Yutong and the others immediately looked towards the magma, and their gazes revealed a look of curiosity. However, that palm instantly melted the sea stone. Then, with a plop, it sank again. The corners of Qing Yutong and the others' mouths twitched. I have already mentally prepared myself, and yet, this is what you are going to show me. I thought that there would be a deeper and more imposing entrance. In the end, it sank again with a plop. Wasn't it very embarrassing? I'm just asking if you feel very embarrassed. Ha ha ha. Kai Yun took the lead and started laughing loudly, and Qing Yutong followed closely behind him. Even Yi Zizi was laughing to the point that she was holding onto her stomach. This was the scene of the final boss's appearance. The heavy atmosphere had been rendered very well, but in the end, it was all gone. The thriller had suddenly turned into a comedy. This change was too serious. It caught everyone off guard. You are truly 2F** king outstanding. Just as everyone was bursting into laughter, a figure suddenly rushed out from the magma. That's right, this was a figure. This figure had a head, legs and hands, and its entire body was filled with magma, just like those lava men. Not sure why, Qing Yutong felt that this lava man was forcefully doing this, and once again exaggerating the way it appeared. After all, it was a bit embarrassing just now. One must know the correct way just now was like this. A hand slapped onto the sea rock, and everyone would be shocked for a moment, wondering what that thing was. Then, it slowly walked out, and once that kind of terrifying aura was emitted, it would make people retreat. It was a pity that such a thing didn't happen. The sea rock melted, and the lava man sunk into the magma. Therefore, the lava man flew out from the magma and forcefully performed this scene. The lava man could be seen flying out from the magma and steadily standing on the sea sand. Although its expression couldn't be seen, it was reckoned to be very serious. But, ha 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 ha. Brett started laughing, and Kai Yun was already cramping in Yu Hua's embrace from laughing. Yi Zizi didn't even want to fight anymore. This fellow is here to be a joke. Even Abalone was amused by the lava man. However, Qi Shuwen was a bit stupefied. He guessed it correctly? This is too mystical. Husband, you are truly too smart. Qi Shuwen took in a deep breath. I also know a lot of things. And my husband is indeed formidable. Being praised by his wife, Qi Shuwen felt a bit smug. The laughter continued, and looking at Yi Zizi who was in the sky, Qi Shuwen laughed until he slapped his thigh. Kai Yun felt that he was going to faint from laughing too much. Qing Yutong couldn't help but shout out, "Handsome, you stepped on your own eye." Ha ha ha. It would have been fine if Qing Yutong didn't say it, but after Qing Yutong said it, everyone laughed even more happily. The lava man went into a daze for a moment, then lowered its head and moved its leg away. A poached egg could be seen imprinted on the lava man's leg, and there was even a bit of a roasted smell. That's right, the lava man indeed had the suspicion of wanting to act cool. Originally, I had already thought of a way to appear, but in the end, therefore, I changed it to jumping, and this time, I stepped on my own eye until it exploded. Isn't this even more awkward? Slowly, the magma on the lava man's body receded, and white skin was revealed. The entire body. There was something strange. Because, I don't know if the lava man is male or female. If the lava man is male, then, what about little Pio? Then, if the lava man is female, the chest muscles are flat, and the hair on the legs, are they serious? So thick. The face is also very androgynous, but it's a braised egg, bald head. When Yi Zizi saw this appearance of the lava man, she immediately flew into Qing Yutong's embrace, expressing that she doesn't want to fight anymore. This is the funniest enemy that I have ever seen. He doesn't even need to fight at all. He can directly make the other party laugh to death. The lava man slightly bent down and picked up his poached egg. If one were to look carefully, at the center of the lava man's forehead, there was a closed eye. And this eye was placed precisely inside the lava man's eye. It's a pity that the lava man was stomped into a poached egg by me. Not only did I fail to act cool, I ended up being F***ed by myself instead. The lava man slowly turned around and looked towards the 5 women. His eyes were filled with violence, and his fists immediately emitted out a terrifying aura. It was undeniable that if this punch were to land, it would definitely hit the target. End of this chapter. Chapter 9:17. Lu Dan's heart was filled with thousands of curses. That poisonous wood had been feeding my eyes for so many years, yet, however, he had stepped on it, and it had been cooked. It looked like a fried egg, and he had even been laughed at by the 5 women. Look at them, they seem to be dying of laughter. How could it be so easy to be laughed to death? You must pay the price. But just as the egg was about to attack, the 5 women actually rushed over together. This made the braised egg turn from offense to defense. You want to sneak attack me? How is that possible? You are looking down on me too much. However, these 5 women. He was actually humiliating her. There really isn't. Kai Yun stared at it, then said in a low voice. He even flicked it with his finger. Qing Yutong patted on that bald head. This bald head is really bright, it's a bit reflective. This leg hair is also real. Then tell me, is it a man or a woman? I can't tell. Since I can't tell, I'll call you a transvestite. That's true. He's neither a man nor a woman. He's just a transvestite, Kai Yun said seriously as he stroked his chin. Lu Dan felt unwell. This was the first time. Encountering such a situation, these people were actually observing him at such a close distance, and that little girl actually had a finger flick. She actually bounced once. Do you think I can tolerate it? Obviously, he could not tolerate it. So I want blood for blood. What is your name? Qing Yutong asked curiously. My name is Ren Yao. Ren Yao blurted it out reflexively. After saying it, she felt something was wrong. Why did she tell them? They were his enemies. He wanted to crush their bodies and let them know that there was a price to pay for laughing at someone. Let's fight. You bunch of trash. Ren Yao? Hearing such a name, the 5 women confirmed their thoughts. He was indeed a transvestite. Why aren't you wearing any clothes? It's very rude to be naked. Kai Yun pursed his lips, looking as if he was saying, You're not a cultured person. The other 4 also revealed looks of disdain. Exhibitionist. I have no manners. When Ren Yao heard this, she almost went crazy. Who was the rude one? Who stared at others like that? Furthermore, who would come out of the magma with clothes on? Could they have some common sense? Seems like I have to let you know what common sense is. Hey, where are you from? Why would it appear from here? Yi Zizi asked curiously. Since this person could make her laugh, she had a good impression of him. After all, he was a joker. Ren Yao decided not to answer. Ren Yao also want face. If I say it just because you want me to say it, wouldn't I lose face? Seeing that Ren Yao did not say anything, Kai Yun mumbled, So she's an orphan. Ren Yao was speechless. Orphan my ass. Your whole family is the orphans. Which eye of yours sees me as an orphan? Looks like I'll have to teach you a lesson with my fists. Flagmaster, you can't say he's an orphan. That's very rude. Yuhua started to teach him carefully. Oh, got it. Humph. You know your wrongs now, but it's already too late. You will die under my fist, and your souls will tremble, unable to be redeemed. Yuhua sighed softly. Others have cultivated until they are bald. It's obvious that they are very hard-working. Bald. Ren Yao felt her whole body trembling. I just haven't grown it yet. Which eye of yours saw that I'm bald? Come, let's shoot our mouths. It's not the Mediterranean Sea yet. Brett said faintly. What is the Mediterranean Sea? Ren Yao felt curious. Seeing that even Ren Yao was curious, Qing Yutong patiently explained the meaning of the Mediterranean Sea. Ren Yao felt that she was going to go crazy. Just what kind of mentality do they have to actually still be provoking me? Don't they know that my fists are very scary? A hole might be opened up on your stomach, and it's the kind of hole that can't be filled up. Are you guys afraid or not? Quickly look. The eye that was crushed should be placed in the middle. Yi Zizi pointed at the space between Ran Yao's eyebrows and said. Qing Yutong let out a light sigh. You are too careless, you just had to crush your own egg. Wrong, you roasted your own egg, why bother? Qing Yutong patted onto Ran Yao's shoulder, with a look on her face. That kind of pain was not something that an ordinary person could endure. That's right, such a beautiful egg, and it was crushed just like that. Kai Yun also felt that it was a pity. Hearing the 5 women feeling that it was a pity, Ran Yao felt a bit emotional. The egg that I raised for so long. Wrong. When did it become an egg? It was clearly just my eye, alright? These women that are messing around, I want to let them know how big, how thick and how powerful my fists are. He cried. Brett said in a low voice. Ah! Yu Hua cried out in surprise. The 5 women directly looked towards Ran Yao's eyes, and within those eyes, there were tears. Ran Yao's heart was about to explode. You guys are making things up out of nothing. When did I cry? I obviously didn't cry. I, Ran Yao, have never lowered my head before, and I have never cried before. However, upon thinking about my own egg, Ran Yao's heart ached. Pay attention next time. If you fail to act cool, then you are called an idiot. If you succeed in acting cool, then you are called awesome. Yi Zizi said attentively. Just like you today, you were obviously acting like an idiot. Although your actions were wrong, it is undeniable that you made me laugh. You are still very successful. Do you want to learn how to act cool? Qing Yutong's eyebrows twitched, and with a look of acknowledge me as your big brother, I will teach you how to act cool. Ran Yao was shocked. I, Ran Yao, have acted cool countless times in my life. Do I still need you to teach me? Today was just a mistake. If you have the ability to do it again, I guarantee that I will let you all broaden your horizons. Kai Yun said, be at ease. If you follow us, you will be our little brother. Only if I am King sick would I follow you all. I, Ran Yao, am going to get rid of you all today, and wash away the humiliation with blood. Which unit are you from? Brett asked curiously. Which unit? Ran Yao had a puzzled look on his face. Yi Zizi snorted, old woman, don't use such advanced vocabulary, he won't understand. Ran Yao's face immediately sunk. They are actually looking down on me again. And you are still saying that I, Ran Yao, won't understand. How is that possible? Isn't it just a unit? My unit, what is that? I really don't understand. Qing Yutong waved her hand. All right, both of you speak less. Can't you see that this? Comrade Ran Yao is very angry. Hee, at least you have some knowledge, to be able to know that I am angry. I will leave your corpse intact later. Usually, only stingy people would be angry. Kai Yun pouted her small mouth and said, the hell? She actually said that I, Ran Yao, am a stingy person. Am I, Ran Yao, that kind of person? I, Ran Yao, am a person who has the world in his heart. Would I get angry over such a small matter? Definitely not. End of this chapter. Chapter 9:18. Kai Yun stretched out his hand and plucked another strand of Ran Yao's leg hair, then said with a smile, like I said, how could other people get angry? Ran Yao took a deep breath, then shouted out in her heart, I'm not angry. I'm not angry. How could I get angry? Only a child would get angry. Indeed. He is a person with magnanimity. Yu Hua nodded her head. However, the 5 women were laughing so hard in their hearts. To actually not have any reaction even after doing this. I'm afraid that this boss is a bit of a chinibu. Is he so easy to deceive? This is too interesting. Why were you under the magma? Did someone lock you up? Qing Yutong asked curiously. This kind of curiosity made Ran Yao a bit moved. That's right. Ran Yao misunderstood. She thought that Qing Yutong was only asking because she was concerned about me. What a good person. I don't know. Ran Yao's reply made the 5 women go into a daze. I actually don't know. Come, let's sit at the side and chat. Brett said faintly. It was not suitable for them to stand at the side. Afterward, the 6 of them sat at the spectator seats at the side. This made Qi Shuwen and Bao Yu dumbfounded. Is this even possible? Such a powerful person was taken care of by us with just words. How can we accept this? He is definitely a trash boss. Or he is an idiot. Husband, let's quickly leave. Bao Yu said tenderly. We can't stay here any longer. However, Qi Shuwen was still looking at Bao Po's corpse. There should be quite a few good things inside if we leave right now. However, if we send Bao Yu away right now, we will definitely be suspected in the future. Husband? Husband, don't say any more. I know you definitely want to go and help, but the other party is too strong. Even if we go, we won't be able to help. Qi Shuwen went into a daze for a moment, then put on a heroic spirit. Sharky, if this monster appears in Water City, it will definitely cause trouble. Right now, I am your husband. I have the responsibility to bear this danger. Hearing that, Bao Yu went into a daze. Without caring so much, she directly kissed towards Qi Shuwen, feeling proud. Qi Shuwen felt so painful in his heart. After a long time, Bao Yu softly said, My husband, I know what you are thinking, but let's go. I won't blame you. You are the hero in my heart. Qi Shuwen still put on a pained expression, as if he wanted to die here. Bao Yu had no choice but to directly drag Qi Shuwen and leave. That resentful gaze of Qi Shuwen. I really feel heartache for Bao Po's corpse. However, in the audience stands, there was a question being asked. If you don't know why you're here, do you remember who locked you up here? Yu Hua gently asked. This person's strength was very strong. Much stronger than Du Mu. This was undeniable, but such a powerful person was sealed here. It was incomprehensible. Ran Yao raised her head slightly at a 45-degree angle, as if she didn't want her tears to fall. He was thinking too much. He was just creating a deep atmosphere, as if he had a story to tell. The 5 women just waited like that. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes. Yi Zizi couldn't take it anymore. Raising her hand, she slapped onto her bald head. Speak. Why did you hit my head? You shameless thing. Ran Yao expressed that she was very angry. She couldn't accept such humiliation. Thus, Ran Yao suddenly stood up. I'm going to use my fist to let you know. Me. Ran Yao. No. Right after the word no was said, Ran Yao disappeared. Yi Zizi waved her fist. This person is truly asking for a beating, to actually play deep with us. Boom. A loud sound suddenly burst out, and the mountains at the side could be seen instantly collapsing. After a long time, the mountains finally calmed down, and Ran Yao laid within the ruins blankly. What happened just now? Sneak attack. That hateful little girl actually sneak attacked me. Ran Yao, want to let her know how terrible the consequences of sneak attacking me are. I'll blow your head apart with a single punch. Ran Yao's body immediately rushed over. Her speed was so fast that it actually created a sonic boom at the bottom of the sea. The scene could be said to be spectacular. Yi Zizi snorted, to actually compete with my fist, even his honor doesn't know how to do it. Yi Zizi didn't cower in the slightest, her small body rushed over, and just like that, her embroidered big fist smashed onto Yi Zizi. The 2 fists collided into each other at the bottom of the sea. There was a loud bang. The entire underwater world seemed to have quietened down. However, a ferocious wave of air immediately spread outwards, and the center of the explosion was flattened. However, this wave of air attacked towards Water City, and its aura didn't weaken at all. However, this was merely the wave of air that was created when the 2 fists collided. On top of Water City's wall. It's coming. Bao Xi said gravely. Activate the shield. Pai Liangjun shouted out lightly. The 3 overlords began forming hand seals, and the moves that they used were ever-changing. Afterward, the 3 overlords shouted out in unison, Heavenly Sealing Ghost Art, Defense. A golden figure could be seen condensing on top of the city wall, and the figure was flickering. Looking at the wave of air that was coming towards them from afar, the 3 overlords were very astonished. That abyssal wave was actually so powerful. Seems like we have still underestimated it. Fortunately, we ran away quickly. If not, we would definitely have died. Kong Feiqing still had lingering fear in his heart. That's right, this kind of attack is too powerful. Bao Xi said in a low voice. To actually attack with pressure, the attack is indeed ferocious. Pai Liangjun let out a breath. Fortunately, we have a countermeasure, but what should we do when the wave of air attacks us? Then, we can only fight with our backs against the wall. Bao Si's gaze became focused. In that case, we can only use our trump card. Pai Liangjun and Kong Feiqing nodded their heads. This is the only way. In a blink of an eye, the terrifying wave of air fiercely collided onto the city wall, and the golden light on the city wall illuminated the entire underwater world. A surging power spread out from the city wall, and the city wall actually managed to withstand the ferocious wave of air. However, the golden light on the city wall became much dimmer, and it was clear that the city wall wouldn't be able to withstand the next attack. One must know that this was a technique that 3 overlords worked together to unleash. However, they didn't expect that this was just the wave of air that exploded out from the clash of fists, and it wasn't an attack at all. If they were to know about this, they would definitely cry until they fainted in the toilet. At the scene, Yi Zizi held her breath, and then, Ran Yao disappeared again. In actuality, it wasn't that Ran Yao wasn't strong, a portion of her strength was stored within that eye, and in the end, that eye was crushed by me. If not, how could she have ended up in such a sorry state? However, from this point it could be seen that this Ran Yao was indeed very strong. After all, she was still able to stand up under Yi Zizi's fists. If it was someone else, that person would have been beaten to death long ago. How terrifying. However, the current Ran Yao wasn't calm at all. Lying on the huge crater, while looking at the little girl that was not far away, Ran Yao was endlessly shocked. End of this chapter. Chapter 919. How could she be so strong? Even if he was at the peak of his strength, he would have to deal with it properly in order to have a chance of winning. However, with his current strength, he had no chance at all. Oh my God! How was this possible? She was actually provoking him, curling her finger at him. This action of hers was a bit frivolous. Little girls should pay attention to their appearance. Ran Yao wasn't a coward either. With a clap of his hands, he shot out explosively. Even after being punched twice by Yi Zizi, he was still as lively as a tiger. What a character! Seeing that Ran Yao was still able to stand up, Yi Zizi clenched her fist, and a surge of energy gathered in her fist. This caused Ran Yao's expression to darken. Although her aura remained the same, she was frightened to death in her heart. If this punch landed on her, it would definitely pinch her in the chest. Therefore, a wise man does not fight when the odds are against him. Why don't we sit down and talk? Ran Yao said softly. Why would adults fight? Only children would fight. Adults would deal with problems rationally. Let's talk after the fight. I'm still excited. Yi Zizi expressed that the sandbag was fine, but she wasn't sure if it could take the next punch. Actually, I'm not feeling well today. Why don't we do it another day? Ran Yao forced herself to act. She clutched her chest as if she was having a heart attack and urgently needed a cardio reliever. Yi Zizi's eyes turned cold, and her face became extremely distorted. In front of Ran Yao, that fist was no longer a fist. Instead, it was death. Boom! Yi Zizi's punch landed on Ran Yao's forehead, but it didn't land. A huge astral wind began to sweep through the bottom of the sea. The people standing on the city wall also felt the astral wind. They're here, Bao Si said in a deep voice. The other two looked at the incoming astral winds with vigilance, not daring to respond at all. Along with a muffled sound, the astral wind touched the city wall, once again emitting a golden radiance. It was dazzling and beautiful. However, the golden light only shone for a while before it gradually weakened and disappeared. However, the astral winds did not disappear completely. The 3 supreme beings had no choice but to release their battle chi once again. The battle chi within their bodies was also being rapidly consumed. They were truly worried that they wouldn't be able to deal with the upcoming situation. After dealing with this gale with much difficulty, the 3 primes were very worried about what would happen next. They all took medicinal pills and quickly recovered their strength. However, what happened next? Ran Yao was a bit unable to remain calm. Looking at the small fist that was in front of her forehead, she shivered. Although the punch didn't hit him, the sea behind him was split apart. How could this girl be so strong? Yi Zizi waved her little hand. Do you still want to jump around? Don't dance anymore. Ran Yao swallowed her saliva. Since you are so strong, why didn't you tell me earlier? If you had told me earlier, would I still have resisted, and I even got beaten up? And even got scared just now. This little fellow is too bad. What are you waiting for? Come over and chat with me. All right. I'll be right there. Ran Yao didn't dare to stay any longer. Just one of them was already extremely powerful. What about the other 4? Wouldn't they be able to overturn the heavens? The 6 of them sat down again. Ran Yao placed her hands on her knees and looked straight ahead. She didn't dare to make any other movements. He would never think about crushing them with his fists again, because he didn't have the strength to do so. Where did you come from? Qing Yutong asked while hugging onto Yi Zizi. I don't know. Go punch him again. Yi Zizi was very willing to do so. Big brother. I really don't know, I only remember my name and... Ran Yao hurriedly explained. You bunch of savage women, it wasn't easy for me to run out. How did you end up like this? This isn't my plot at all. What else? Brett asked in a deep voice. Also, I'm a guardian. Ran Yao said in a low voice, seemingly very embarrassed. Qing Yutong was startled. This is a guardian? Last time at Azure Dragon Empire, I seem to have met a guardian too. What is his name? Su Diao? He is also a very strong person. I even went easy on him that day. This Kai Yun pouted his mouth. You are also called a guardian? You are simply too weak. Whoever asks you to protect will suffer. Ran Yao lowered her head and didn't say a word, as if she received a blow. This girl is right, I was beaten up, and I still want to protect. Protect my ass. Yu Hua said tenderly, Flagmaster, you can't say it like that, it will give a blow to other people's hearts. Ran Yao responded, expressing that she gave me a blow just now. Qing Yutong hurriedly asked, then, what are you protecting? You couldn't have forgotten about it, right? I don't remember. Ran Yao pursed her lips, then said soon after, I am so weak, I have already lost the qualifications to be a guardian. Brett said faintly, it is not that you are too weak, it is that we are too strong. That's right, you must not have this kind of thinking, you are still very strong at least to others. Yu Hua followed up and said, practically consoling this final boss. Ran Yao was very touched. These are all good people. Thank you all of you are good people. It is me who is too weak, I don't have the face to go and be a guardian. Such a weak guardian, if I were to say it out, it would also be a joke. Right now, Qing Yutong thought of that Su Diao, that man is ice, cold, and this one is filled with a Chunibyu aura. The contrast between their personalities is truly quite big. If talking about strength, of course that Su Diao is more powerful. This one also stomped his eyes into an omelette, if not, he would also be the same as Su Diao, what a pity. But even so, his strength is still very terrifying. After all, to be able to withstand 2 punches from Yi Zizi, although he didn't use any strength, it was still a kind of achievement. Qing Yutong asked curiously, then, do you have a place that you want to go to right now? From what brother-in-law said, although this guardian had lost his memories, he seemed to have an obsession in his heart, and that was where he wanted to go. I don't want to go to any place right now, I am too weak. Ran Yao said dejectedly. Yi Zizi once again beat a person into autistic. This kind of simple and crude beating was indeed very easy to beat a person into autistic. Ran Yao let out a long sigh. Good people, you all can leave. Just let my soul repent here, when I finish my training, I will come out of the mountain. Hearing what Yi Zizi said, the expressions of the 5 women changed. After all this time you actually want us to leave, and then you can be lawless by yourself. As expected, you are shameless enough, you have more brains than that Su Diao. Zizi beat him up. Qing Yutong shouted coldly. All right. Why do you all want to bully me? I am just a little weak, how can you blame me for being weak? What did I do wrong? Could it be that having a weak strength is also a kind of sin? If that's the case, then I will add a sin on top of a sin. Come, humiliate my body as much as you want. If my body can please you all, I am willing to offer my body. The 5 women. End of this chapter. Chapter 920. When this fellow became coquettish, Yang Haotian had nothing to do with it at all. If these 2 coquettish were to walk together, who would be more coquettish? He was really curious. I'm the worst guardian. Ran Yao sighed softly. No. Compared to being a lousy guardian, it's rare to have a coquettish air. Qing Yutong said with a light smile. What was that saying again? Men just have to be coquettish. Look at brother-in-law, he is very coquettish. During the day, he would act like a gentleman and a boss, but at night, he would transform into a wolf. Brother-in-law was a coquettish type of man. He was especially coquettish in character. Hearing Qing Yutong's words, Ran Yao felt very gloomy. She didn't even try to console me, and actually said that I'm coquettish. How am I, Ran Yao, coquettish? Even if I want to be coquettish, I still have to be coquettish. It's not like I have a guy to be coquettish. Yutong, let's go. There's nothing fun here. Those two people who just left will definitely expose us, Yuhua said softly. There was no longer a need to stay. Qing Yutong also didn't plan to continue staying here. All right, we can leave now. Hearing the 5 women's words, Ran Yao was overjoyed. They were finally going to leave. Hurry up and leave. If you guys are here, I feel like a salted fish. A salted fish without any strength. I'll be beaten up by you guys. By the way, that guy is still locked up, right? Brett said as he looked at Yi Zizi. It was as if he was saying, aren't you going to save him? Yi Zizi snorted coldly. What does that have to do with me? You'd better die. Kai Yun narrowed his eyes and said, in any case, she confessed to you passionately that night, and even carved schwanger on her hand. Wow, it's really unforgettable. I don't want to talk to you, Yi Zizi said and rushed forward. She felt that they could talk about this for the rest of their lives. Right now, there are only these few people. When I go back, those people. Just thinking about it makes my scalp numb. It's all that Yang Haotian's fault. Why didn't he just go and die? Let's go as well, Brett said faintly as he dashed forward. Ran Yao was laughing to death in her heart. Leave quickly. You savage women. Unreasonable women. There was no way to communicate at all. Yuhua, Kai Yun, the two of you go up first. Wait for me to bring that Yang Haotian up. Qing Yutong felt that Yang Haotian had also put in a lot of effort, and now that he was captured, they couldn't just ignore him, right? All right. Yuhua and Kai Yun also left, and in an instant, only Qing Yutong and Ran Yao remained. Ran Yao sat upright and seemed to be a bit nervous, thinking to herself, why aren't you leaving yet? Quickly leave. Follow me, help me bring a person out. Qing Yutong said lightly. Bring people? Who are you bringing? Bring someone as coquettish as you. This is the aura that a guardian should have, the kind that is definitely not a joke. However, facing the 5 women, she was completely unable to display this kind of aura. In actuality, from the very start, she felt that she would not be able to win against them. Hearing Ran Yao's words, the 3 people paused for a moment. Kong Feicheng was the first to react. He pointed at Ran Yao and said, you are that abyss wave. What bullshit abyss wave? That is just my little bug. The 3 people, that kind of strong abyss wave is actually just the opponent's little bug. Impossible. This is definitely impossible. Stop talking nonsense. Let one person go. Hurry up. My patience is not very good. Ran Yao shouted gravely. Time is pressing. Stop talking nonsense. That will have to depend on whether you have the ability or not. Bao Ci shouted out angrily. After all, his son had died, and he is still in pain. My son is very outstanding. He is not someone that they can compare with. All of the star cannons could be seen aiming at Ran Yao. An astonishing aura was currently condensing, however. Ran Yao slowly stretched out her finger. A silver light could be seen shooting out from the tip of her finger, and a star cannon that had not condensed yet could be seen exploding, and the star cannon that had not condensed yet immediately exploded. The number of these star cannons was limited, and they were all left behind by the old ancestor. If there was one less star cannons, then there would really be one less star cannons. However, just like that, Ran Yao killed all of the star cannons one by one. Kong Feicheng and the other 2 were all stupefied. The defense of the star cannons is something that even overlords are unable to break, and this person is actually able to do it so easily. This is impossible. This is definitely impossible. End of this chapter. Chapter 921. This was a freaking fake. However, the last star cannon had finished assembling, and a silvery white energy shot towards Ran Yao. Seeing the last ray of hope shoot out, Pai Liangjun and the other two stared at the silvery white light wave. It was not that Kong Feiqing was bragging, but even if the other party was a Super Zhizun, this cannon would still blast him into pieces. Moreover, it would be pieces that could not be pieced back together. Ran Yao looked at the incoming white light wave and did not put up any defense. Boom! When the white light wave came into contact with Ran Yao's body, a dazzling white light burst out, and a terrifying pressure engulfed the entire seabed. The seawater churned, and the city rumbled. All the residents hid in their homes, and they would never forget what happened today for the rest of their lives. This was simply a disaster day for Water City. He should be dead, Bao Ci said in a deep voice. Should be. Pai Liangjun was also unsure, and there was only dust in front of him. I can't even feel his aura. He should be blasted into pieces, Kong Feiqing said in a low voice, and his hands started to move behind his back, as if the crisis had been resolved. However, they seemed to have forgotten one thing, and that was that they couldn't feel Ran Yao's aura from the start. When the dust dispersed, a figure was still standing not far away. The three of them immediately froze, and if it was possible, their jaws would definitely have dropped to the ground, but they allowed it to happen. He is actually fine, Bao Ci said in shock. That light wave actually didn't leave any mark on his body. This was impossible. The three of them looked at it with disbelief, and they even felt that this star cannon was fake. Ran Yao was someone who was able to receive 2 punches from Yi Zizi without any injuries. From this, it could be seen how powerful his defense was. The might of the star cannon was like a tickle to him. He was completely fine. Ran Yao extended his hand again and extinguished the last star cannon, and then said indifferently, "If you still don't release him, I can only kill him." Release him. Release him. Release him. Kong Feiqing's words were unclear, and he only wanted to ask this ancestor to leave. However, some of the guards didn't know who to release. Kong Feiqing hurriedly asked, who do you want us to release?" "The one we caught today. His name is Yang Haotian, a man under general anesthesia," Ran Yao said calmly. She was full of vigor. This was a true guardian. The one just now was definitely a fake. Quickly release that Yang Haotian," Bao Ci shouted angrily. If he had known that this would happen, he would have released the star cannons earlier. Now that the star cannons were gone, the star cannons still had to be released. This was a complete loss. The gains did not make up for the losses. Humans were often like this. Only after trying would they know that it was too late for regrets. Just like these 3 supremes, without the celestial cannons, it was equivalent to losing a layer of defense. Furthermore, it was the most crucial defense. If someone were to attack them, they would be in danger. Very soon, Yang Haotian was brought over. His entire body was still numb, and he could only move his eyes. Of course he could still talk. "Hurry up and release him," Pai Liangjun shouted. The imperial bodyguard cautiously said, "You can't let him go." The 3 supreme martial artists. "Do you King want to die? Who exactly is the boss now? You actually said that you won't let us go. Could it be that you want to see us 3 supremes die before you're willing to let us go? Hurry up and let go," Bao Ci shouted angrily. The 2 guards were so frightened that they immediately let go. However, as soon as he let go, the stiff Yang Haotian fell straight down, his nose hitting the ground hard. The 3 supreme martial artists were a little stupefied. How did he collapse just like that? At that time he would think that they had hit him. "What's going on?" Kong Feiqing asked. "He's been poisoned by bang hard poison," the imperial bodyguard said while trembling with fear. He had already said that he couldn't release the poison. The moment he released the poison, he collapsed. Hard poison? Pai Liangjun immediately knew that it was his 3rd brother's usual method. "Luckily I have the antidote." Pai Liangjun took out a lump of yellow unknown object. The object carried a fishy smell, and the shape of the object was not pleasing to the eye, to the extent that it looked a bit like cough. "Just a lick," Pai Liangjun said softly. There was even a look of concern in his eyes, giving people a different feeling, like an uncle holding a lollipop. Yang Haotian was speechless. Licking again. "Is this how you and your father deceive others? Just now, I was poisoned because I licked the sword. I didn't expect you to let me lick it again. Do you think Yang Haotian, I'm an idiot? What kind of poison is it this time? No, it didn't look like it. Just by looking at its shape, it looked even more terrifying than bang hard poison. How dare you make me lick shit? F***ck me. Even more vicious. I won't lick it even if you beat me to death. Young man, don't doubt it. This is really the antidote. Just lick it and you'll be fine. Pai Longjun said attentively. He noticed that the other party's eyes were filled with vigilance. He guessed that this was poison. However, it did look like poison, at least in the shape. But there was nothing he could do about it. It looked so weird. I won't lick it. You rotten old man, you're very bad. Yang Haotian would rather die than comply. As a man, how could he lick such a dirty thing? Pai Longjun gave them a look, and Bao Ci and Kong Fei instantly understood. They immediately pressed Yang Haotian's head down and opened his mouth wide. This. Is he trying to forcefully shove it in? How savage. Yang Haotian felt that he was about to be humiliated. In just one day, she had been humiliated so many times. She didn't expect to be humiliated by 3 men. It was the greatest humiliation of his life. Good child, just a lick will do. Pai Longjun said with a strange smile. This caused Yang Haotian to almost collapse. What F*** king good child? Who's your child? Scram. If I say I won't lick, then I won't lick. Pai Longjun had no other choice but to directly shove it all into his mouth. Yang Haotian opened his eyes wide. He felt that a huge thing was squeezed into his mouth, and a fishy smell came out from it. I was actually forcefully opened by someone. Oh my god. Yang Haotian, the main character of the red packet system, swallowed this fishy and smelly thing today, and you even forced me to lick it. These shameless rotten old men. However, when Yang Haotian innocently licked it, he suddenly felt a clear current flowing within his body. It felt very comfortable. The hard feeling gradually disappeared, and unknowingly, Yang Haotian started licking it himself. So fragrant. Seeing that Yang Haotian was fine, Pai Longjun snatched it over. This is a treasure, to actually let you lick it so many times. Yang Haotian looked at Pai Longjun with a resentful expression. I was just happily licking it, and you actually shamelessly snatched it away, scoundrel. Bao Ci said respectfully. Gongzi, someone is here to pick you up, you should quickly leave with him. Yang Haotian took a look at Ran Yao, then said solemnly, Who is this? I don't know him, I'm not going. The 3 overlords, Pai Longjun squeezed out a trace of a smile. Child, don't mess around, be good, your father is here to pick you up. Chapter 922. Whoever wants to be the sun can go. You lunatic. Yang Haotian rolled his eyes. I was already very unlucky, but I didn't expect to run into another tiger's den. The 3 supremes almost kneeled down. Great hero, just leave, don't waste time, or else that androgynous baldy is going to start killing people. Young man, this person is here to save you. Kong Feiqing almost wanted to make a move. I have never seen such a person who would rather be locked up than go out. He looks so ugly with just a look, I can tell that he is a bad person. How could he possibly be here to save me? You all want to lie to me, how is that possible? Young hero, you can't say things like that. It is too rude. That's right, you can't judge a person by their appearance. You can't label someone as a bad person just because they are ugly, unless they are really ugly. Yang Haotian said in a low voice, but I really feel that they are really ugly. After hearing that, the 3 supremes silently nodded their heads. That's why I have decided to stay here for a long time. Big brother. Can't I just call you big brother? Even if they are bad people, you still have to go, if not we are going to be screwed. Kong Feiqing couldn't care so much anymore. He had already called him big brother. Yang Haotian indeed felt that that person was very scary. That's why he didn't go, he wasn't joking. It could be said that if he went there, he would definitely be screwed. At least over here, there would still be food to eat. Ran Yao let out a deep sigh. I can only use the backup plan. Ran Yao could be heard shouting. It was Schwanger who told me to come and save you. Hearing that it was Schwanger, Yang Haotian immediately became spirited. My red packet is still on Schwanger's butt. Actually, I feel that ugly people have a good heart, just like him. Bye-bye. After Yang Haotian finished speaking, He flew towards Ran Yao. After seeing that the little ancestor had left, the three supremes finally felt relieved. Yang Haotian looked at Ran Yao, who was in front of him, and said with a smile, "Brother, did Shuang'er really tell you to come and call me? Do you think that I wanted to come? That is a group of vicious women." Yang Haotian's expression became more and more shocked, then he grabbed onto Ran Yao's shoulder. "I also feel that way. That is a group of vicious women, they tortured me to death. They're all unfortunate people." Yang Haotian and Ran Yao took a deep breath and exhaled helplessly. Since they couldn't resist, they could only enjoy the thrashing. However, after Ran Yao left, she turned around and said, "If you dare call me ugly again, I'll kill you. I'll King kill all of you. My hair just hasn't grown out yet." The immense pressure caused the three supreme beings to kneel down. They were so frightened that they hurriedly spoke up. This person was actually so powerful and terrifying. Fortunately, he did not resist just now. If he had resisted, he would definitely have died. God bless my water city. The things left behind by the old ancestor were indeed very powerful. Yang Haotian sensed Ran Yao's strength and was also very surprised. "Brother, are you really that strong? We can work together." Yang Haotian felt that there was a way. He would definitely be able to kidnap those vicious women and get the red packet for himself. Ran Yao sighed. "Little brother, please dispel this crazy idea of yours. I still want to breathe fresh air. I won't accompany you to die." "I'm just joking. Look at how serious you are." "Seriously, they are so kind, they are all good people. I, Yang Haotian, am also extremely happy to be able to accompany them." Yang Haotian immediately started bootlicking, because when he saw the beautiful figure that was not far away, he was so scared that even his soul was trembling. Not only Yang Haotian, Ran Yao was also the same. Qing Yutong was waiting for the two not far away. "Lu Dan, you're pretty fast, huh?" "Haha, it's nothing." Ran Yao had no choice but to submit to Qing Yutong. Yang Haotian immediately shouted, "Big sister, you came to save me, I'm too happy." After finished speaking, Yang Haotian went to hug Qing Yutong's thigh. Qing Yutong kicked Yang Haotian away. "Stop wasting time, get on the boat." Yang Haotian grinned. "Get on the boat. Get on the boat. Big sister, where are we going?" "We are going to a fun place, Lu Dan, follow me." "Sigh, all right." Ran Yao followed behind helplessly, and the three rushed towards the boat. On the sea's surface, the boat was still there, just that it had changed from day to night. After the three landed on the boat, Yang Haotian immediately shouted, "Shuang'er, I'm back." A murderous aura rang out within the boat. "If you dare to call me Shuang'er again, I'll beat the shit out of you with a punch." "All right." Yang Haotian immediately cowered. Qing Yutong walked into the cabin of the boat, and the two followed behind, just like attendants. Just that, Yang Haotian was a lot weaker than Ran Yao. "Yutong, where are we going next?" Brett asked curiously. "Today's day is rather interesting. It's fun." Qing Yutong pouted her mouth. "How about we go to his empire to play first? After that, we'll make plans." "This idea is not bad. Let's go then." Kai Yun immediately agreed. In any case, playing is just playing. In actuality, Yang Haotian really wanted to say, "I'm the emperor after all. Did you all ask for my opinion just like that? You all are simply too overbearing. My mother doesn't want me to play with you all anymore." The troublemaker group of 5 didn't stop causing trouble, and they were completely unable to stop. In the end, they finally pierced through the sky, and there was no way for them to clean up the mess. However, at a small village in the northwest of Wuxia Empire. At this time, every household was warming themselves up at home, and outside, snow was falling from the sky. At this time, the temperature outside was -10+°C. Suddenly, a series of strange footsteps rang out, especially the sound of the footsteps stepping onto the snowy ground. It seemed especially gloomy and cold. The faint light that floated out from the window illuminated the figure, and the figure's shadow was projected onto the wall at the side. The figure was a black-robed man who was holding onto a sickle. This was precisely Death Mage. All of the scripts have been arranged, and this was also the first scene. Male lead, Death Mage guest, Yi Hua screenwriter, Mu Ran lines. Improvisation. Death Mage expressed that this was the first time that he did such a thing, and furthermore, it was the male lead, so he was a bit reserved and embarrassed. It doesn't seem appropriate to scare people out of their beds in the middle of the night. After all, I, Death Mage, am a young man with good qualities. Therefore, Death Mage didn't plan to knock on the door anymore, and he raised the sickle in his hand high up. Summon evil spirits. Death Mage shouted out in anger, and countless evil spirits flew into the 100 households. In an instant, wails rang out in the entire village. Everyone was chased to the plaza in the middle by the evil spirits, and there were even some people who didn't even wear their clothes and were shivering from the cold. Countless evil spirits hovered in the air, and everyone obediently kneeled on the snowy ground, and their faces were pale white from fright. Some children hid within their parents' embrace, not daring to look at the evil spirits, and some children who were more courageous secretly looked at the evil spirits. Slowly, Death Mage's figure appeared in front of everyone, and when everyone saw that it was an undead, despair appeared on their faces. You're tuning in to the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.